Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 25 Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs from the Crafty Vault. I have a little bit of everything in today's video, and hopefully you'll get lots of Halloween crafting inspiration. I wanted to see if I could make some cool like farmhouse ghosts using some of the wood slice ornaments from the Dollar Tree and some of the foam styrofoam balls. That's the 3-pack, so those are a little bit smaller than the ones that come in the 2-pack. And then I take some Dollar Tree dowels. They're nice and tall, but skinny enough to fit in the hole on the ornament. So I think that's going to be a time saver. I won't have to drill any holes. I just use my miter scissors to cut them down to size. I'm going to make one like an adult ghost and one like more of a child size. So I made this one a lot longer, but look how they fit in there. Pretty cool, huh? I do go back and glue them on the bottom to make sure they don't spin around. So you might want to glue them at that step. Now for the first layer for the ghost, I'm just using some Dollar Tree white fabric. It's a polyester. It doesn't matter what you have, just something white. And I'm going to cut that in half. I think that's going to be plenty for both of the ghosts. This is going to be my first layer. Then I'm going to go over it with that Dollar Tree creepy cloth in the ivory color. I think that's going to look really cute together. I saw like some ghosts kind of like this that were on sale like on Walmart's website. And I thought they would be so easy to recreate with supplies from the Dollar Tree. So that looks pretty good. I do want to kind of just tack it in place with a little bit of hot glue right here on the top of its head. And then the rest of it's just going to kind of drape down over the styrofoam ball. And so I just kind of center that on my dowel, poke that straight through my styrofoam ball, and push it down pretty securely on there to form the head of my little ghost. That looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and get the other ghost going as well. Since it's shorter, I decided to cut its drape a little bit shorter as well. I'm going to have this be a child size. I'm going to use the same size styrofoam ball, but you could always use even the smaller ones Dollar Tree has that I think comes in a 4-pack if you wanted to have a smaller head, but I'm okay with them having the same size head. So I just glued that on there and pushed that onto that dowel as well. And I think that's gonna work really well. So this is what I have so far with my 2 little ghosts. And then this is the creepy cloth. I love crafting with this in the ivory and with the black. I think I've actually made more things with the ivory than I have with the black. It's just so cool. So I'm just going to kind of unfold it to see how much material I have to work with. There is plenty for both and then some left over. I'm just going to kind of measure it to see what's going to work just by draping it over what I already have here. And kind of measuring how wide I need it to be so I can just cut the fabric down to size. It's a little hard to work with. You don't want to stretch it out too much because it will kind of pull the fibers apart from each other. And I think that's going to be enough fabric right about there. Kind of drape down for the sides as well. Now for the face, I'm just going to use a Sharpie and I'm just going to do ghost eyes. So right here on the front, I'm going to figure out where the ghost eyes would be. And super easy, I just draw on that white Dollar Tree fabric with that black Sharpie, 2 ovals side by side. Super easy. You could give it a mouth if you wanted to, but I kind of like my ghost just to have the eyes. And then I drape that creepy cloth over the top of it, covering the entire ghost. And it gives you that kind of textured eyes, having the eyes painted underneath of it. I kind of like that look. And then I can gather it like that to form the ghost. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the child size ghost. For this one, I did a little bit larger eyes just to kind of represent like the more youthful ghost. And you can always kind of change them up, kind of give each one a little bit of personality. I wanted him to look a little bit wide-eyed. So then I'm going to take the rest of that creepy cloth, draping it over here to see exactly what I need, and then just kind of cut off the excess. I had a lot left over actually. And that's a pretty good start right there. I can always go in and trim up the excess fabric later, but as you can see, I'm just trying to get like the head part covered like that, let everything else kind of drape down to the sides. So they're almost kind of choked with some twine. So the Dollar Tree twine I'm going to use for that. I'm also going to tie off some little tags. I designed this printable of 2 little tags. One says boo and one says haunted. I printed them out on cardstock and I will include the free printable. I'm just distressing mine with a baby wipe and a little bit of tan paint. I think this is like beachcomber beige maybe, and just splotching that on there to make it look like old weathered paper before I cut out the cardstock. Quick, easy way to have some aged paper, just using something plain like the white cardstock. And the reason I printed this on cardstock is so it will be heavy duty and it will work well as little tags tied around the ghost's neck. So we have Boo and Haunted. Now, I don't love this hole puncher because you can't really see what you're doing. So I had to kind of punch it a couple times to kind of cover up the hole that I put on there. But when I tie them on there, you're not going to be able to tell. Next time, though, I'm not using the hole puncher. This is the twine we're going to use from Dollar Tree. And I just cut off a piece long enough to kind of go around the neck of this guy a couple of times. I'm going to gather everything right underneath the foam ball. I tie it in the front first, kind of cinching him up. And it really kind of gives a fun little drape ghost body here. And then I pull it around the back, tie it again. And then I can pull it around and tie it on the front. And then I can go ahead and tie on my little tag. For this one, I'm going to use the word boo. I just string that on there. And then I am just going to tie a simple bow in my jute twine. Nothing fancy, but I thought it would be a little bit decorative just to tie it with a bow like that. And then I'm just going to cut off my excess twine. Now I'm going to do the same thing here on my child-size ghost, but I did notice I still had a little bit of excess fabric on this one. So I just kind of trim up the corners again. I don't want it too frilly of a ghost. And I really like the way that looks. Now, the second ghost, the child-sized ghost, is going to get the haunted tag. So I'm going to do the same thing. I just cut off some twine. I have way too much fabric on this one, but that's okay. I can always trim it up. And I tie it, cinching that styrofoam ball, which makes a perfect little ghost head. And I cut this twine a little bit shorter than I did the other one, but that's okay. I think we can still make it work. I just string my tag on there and tie it into a little bow. And I actually had just enough twine to make it happen. I think they look together as a set really cute. I guess you could do a whole family. You could do like a his and her and a child, one for each one of your children. Do your whole family and ghosts. Be really cute. You could have all of them have like different little tags too if you wanted. But I will include the printable for these that I made today. And I made the tag shape on there so they're easy to cut out. I did notice they were spinning around a little bit, so I added a little hot glue here to the dowel on the bottom of my wood slice so they would stay in place. And they work okay with it being just on the back of the wood slice like that because the foam ball is really lightweight and so is the fabric. So that looks really cool. I glued them both in place and just arranging the cheesecloth material or the creepy cloth material on there until I am happy with it. And here it is, the little adult and child ghost. I think they're so fun. They were so easy to put together. And here is how they turned out. I like that they both have a little bit different personalities with their different eyes and different sizes. But really cute and so easy to DIY. Everything came from the Dollar Tree, I guess, except for the cardstock that I printed the little tags out on. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would hype this video. For the next DIY, I found the cutest little witch's cauldron for $1 at Target Dollar Spot the other day, and I wanted to see if we could do a Dollar Tree DIY here of like a witch's cauldron. So everything is from the Dollar Tree except for the cauldron itself. I actually got that at Target Dollar Spot. So we're going to use a combination of the Dollar Tree wood dowels. These are the large ones, and a Dollar Tree wood sign. And we're going to make the cutest Halloween DIY. I absolutely love how this turned out. So you're going to need 3 of the dowels. It's a pretty large cauldron, so I needed the large dowels for this project. I'm also going to need some Dollar Tree wood stems and stones. We're going to do a witch's cauldron over a fire, right? So I kind of wish I had a little bit bigger stones to go around the edge of my fire, but these are all I had from the Dollar Tree. So you know what? We're going to make it work. So I just went ahead and kind of laid out like a rudimentary fire ring there on my sign, and then I thought I would just attach the 3 dowels like this, and then we can hang the cauldron down over the fire. It's gonna look so cool. But what I found is that the cauldron's too big for that. So I'm gonna have them kind of go off the sides of the sign. So my fire is gonna need to be way bigger. So that's okay. Just more Dollar Tree rocks, right? So again, I just try to lay them out, this time going closer to the edges of these wood signs. And I love these wood signs. How cool are these, right? But you can use anything that was kind of circular is going to work best. And I guess you don't really have to use a circle. You could always just do a circle with the rocks too. It could be a square. But I had the circle in the kind of the perfect size. So just going around with my hot glue and gluing down each stone. Now I don't want it to be like tiny rocks all the way around the edges and then mostly wood. I want it to be kind of a combination of both. So once I get my first row done, and since I did kind of want bigger rocks in the first place, I just go ahead and do a second row of rocks to kind of fill in that area a little bit more. We're going to make it look like the campfire is glowing, and we're also going to make it look like the witch's cauldron is glowing with potion as well. It turned out so cute. I absolutely love this one. Now I also go over with a third row just to make the rock pile a little bit higher and add a little bit more character to it. So lots of rocks. I think that looks good. These are what we're going to use for embers. These are the little fairy lights from Dollar Tree. I put some batteries in there. They have like 10 of the LED lights on there. And I'm going to kind of hide it underneath my firewood. And I can't really attach my firewood to it because I do need to be able to get to the switch and to the batteries. But I'll show you how I go ahead and put it together. Now, these Dollar Tree wood stems come in all different shapes and sizes. If you can't find these, you could always take some sticks from your yard, just cut them down into little pieces like this, and that would work as well. I wanted kind of some of the larger ones here to start with because what we need to do is cover that battery pack. And I want you to be able to see that. I just want you to be able to see the lights that look like little embers of fire in the campfire. So as I add twigs, I'm going in and kind of wrapping the fairy garden lights around it a little bit, so they don't stick up too much and they just kind of look like embers down in the fire. And then again, I'm going to have it like this with the cauldron over the fire, which I think is a really fun for like a witchy feel. I also thought it would be fun to add some paint colors. So just using some orange and yellow acrylic paints, I just kind of dot little like embers all over. You could also paint your LED lights maybe more of an orange color because they are a little bit white. I wasn't sure if that was totally safe though. So I just went ahead and painted the logs a little bit to give a little bit of color for the fire. So there's our campfire. I think it turned out pretty cute. Now we can start working on our witch's cauldron. I picked up one of these battery operated lights at Dollar Tree. I love these. I just popped 3 AA batteries in there, and I have a little light switch on the side that I can put in the bottom of my cauldron. For all of like the foam and steam coming out of the cauldron, I'm just using pillow fluff from an old pillow. That way I can still get in there to be able to turn the switch on and off if I need to, or change the batteries. And it kind of looks like it's overflowing the sides of the cauldron. Way easier than making bubbles, I think. Now for the wood dowels, I'm going to stain them with a little antique wax by Waverly here. I just go ahead and do all 3 of them at the same time. And a baby wipe to kind of spread that out, giving me an even stem stain. I want to get it all over, even the end of them. And this is going to be so fun. The plastic pot is not very heavy, so it doesn't have to constructurally be really solid, but I'm going to do my best here. I just cut some twine, and then I go ahead and stand these up, kind of crisscrossing a little bit at the top. I want one to be on each third of the campfire like this, holding it up, right? So I try to make it make sense, kind of like that. And then I take some twine here at the top, and it's kind of hard to show you because this is so tall. It was kind of messing with the focus on my camera there. But I just tie it, and then I tie it again as tight as I can to try to keep it together. And it's just going to look like the top of it's kind of put together by rope, which is cool. So I just kind of go back and forth and tie that off. And that is basically the construction of the top part of the cauldron. I don't know what that's called. And I decided for a little bit of stability, I would hot glue it to the outer sides of the wood ring just to kind of make it all one piece and to kind of stay together. So I do that with a little hot glue on all 3 of our dowels. It's already looking cute, right? I add a little bit of hot glue here to the top for a little bit more stability to make sure that stays together. And then to cover any of the hot glue that I just added, I'm going to add a little bit of Spanish moss to any of those places. It kind of goes with the theme, and it's a great cover for the hot glue. And then what I want to do is I want to hang the cauldron in there. So it looks like it's hanging from the top of this little part and hanging over the fire. I don't have a lot of room to play with in there, but I think we can make this work. So all the Spanish moss is added, maybe another piece here to the top, and then it's a little bit tight to get this in there since I went ahead and attached the sides, but I was able to make it work. So I can kind of see where I want it to be. I don't really have chain or anything this small, so again, I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine, and I cut 3 pieces of it down long enough to hang the cauldron from the top. I'm going to go ahead and take that out. It doesn't really have any handles or anything on this little plastic cauldron, and I did get this at the dollar spot at Target this year. I was so excited to find this because it's a perfect size little cauldron to craft with. If you wanted to do a miniature version of this with the Dollar Tree cauldron, it could be really cute as well. Just kind of make everything smaller. I just go ahead and hot glue the 3 pieces of twine to the 3 different sides, kind of spreading those out into thirds. And then I kind of gather it all together. I'm going to tie it about halfway up right there. And then I really only need 2 pieces of twine to be able to tie it to the top. So I just go ahead and cut one of them off just to kind of get rid of it. And it's just going to be an easy way to chain this up. So it's going to kind of hang down like that. And go ahead and add it back in here. And I just kind of take the 2 pieces so I can tie it. So I just tie it over the top here and let it dangle down just like that. That looks pretty good. There's not a lot of room between the cauldron and the fire, but I love how this turned out. So let me give you a little look. Very witchy, very spooky for Halloween. The pillow fluff was such an easy idea for the cauldron, and I love the fact that it glows. And how cute is the little campfire with all the little embers, the little fairy lights in there that light up. I also want to show you what it looks like at night. Very creepy for Halloween. I always love a good witchy DIY for Halloween. It's nice and spooky. My son FaceTimed me on some of these DIYs today, and he gave me lots of advice. Halloween is definitely his favorite holiday. Now for the next DIY, I found these great tinsel witch's boots at the Dollar Tree, and I thought, oh my goodness, I need to make these beautiful. Now, I don't think they're beautiful right now. I don't like the tinsel, so all we're gonna do is remove it. So I bought two because I thought it would be better to do a pair of witch's boots, right? So it's just a matter of removing all of this pesky tinsel on there. Um, it's usually pretty easy. It's a little bit easier if you cut it to at least get it started. But you're going to get this great cage underneath, which I think is a great value if you want to try to DIY your own little witch's boots. And you know what? After I DIY these, I think they kind of look a little bit like elf boots too. So I might pick up some more of these before the end of Halloween and maybe make them for a Christmas DIY as well. I think that would be fun because these turned out so cute. So I wanted to wrap them with something, but I didn't have any black rope. So I found this at the Dollar Tree hardware section, the diamond braid rope that comes in black and white. And it's kind of cool. I think this is going to make a cool pattern for witch's boots. And the black and white goes great for Halloween. So I start here at the very heel, and I'm hot gluing that rope to the very bottom of it. Because I know I'm going to have to wrap the other part. I do want it to be level. I'm going to use these as little witch boot planters, and it just turns out so cute. So once I get started, I glued all the way around, and I did glue like my first row here, but kind of once you start wrapping, as long as you keep it tight, it's going to stay on there pretty well. As you can see, there's a little plastic tab sticking out, which actually helps keep the rope in place. But you want to make sure that you get your rope as close together so you don't see any gaps. When I got to this part, I just wrapped it all the way around the boot like that, and I can always do the toe part of the boot separately. It's just how it's made. You kind of have to do that part separately. If I get to an area that has like a lot of plastic or something on there that I can glue it to, I do, just for a little bit of added stability. But otherwise, I'm simply wrapping. As you can see, there's a ton of rope on this. I'm going to use one package for each boot. So if you're going to pick that up, you're going to do a pair of boots. Make sure to pick up two of these. They also have them in different colors as well, but I thought black and white would be perfect for Halloween because it's going to kind of give me that like houndstooth almost pattern by wrapping this in that rope. And I really like it. I think it turned out so cool. I guess you could always use some black twine or something like that if you had some, but I've never found anything like that from the Dollar Tree. So I go all the way here to the top. Now, I don't want you to be able to see the plastic edges of my cage either. So once I get to the top, I just start hot gluing it to the plastic and kind of to itself and do like another row in there just so you can't see the plastic. To kind of give me a more finished top. And then just cut it and glue it once I get it all covered. Now I just have to do the toe part of the witch's boot. So I'm going to kind of start here where the heel is, start with a little hot glue, and then I can start wrapping it around this section. Now, since it's kind of an odd shape, it is a little tricky. I just made sure to get it kind of pushed in there to the heel. And if you skip a row or two at the very bottom, you're not going to be able to see that when you're standing it up. And the way that the toes are pointed a little bit, it does kind of get a little bit spaced out there, but that's fine. Once I get to this part where it's really pointed, there is plastic there. So you have something to glue to. And I just keep wrapping it, but this time I'm gluing it to the plastic. And I want to keep doing that, kind of attaching it to itself here at the end. So you cover up all the plastic caging, you won't be able to see it. That looks good. I'm going to go ahead and cut that down. We have our first witch's boot. Isn't this so cute? I absolutely adore how these turned out. Even my husband loved these, which kind of surprised me. Now, I used a lot of the rope, most of the rope to make that. So I'm going to open another package because I don't really want to start and stop if I don't have to on this. So same thing. We're going to start here right at the heel cap. And I'm gluing that to the bottom again. That way they're going to be nice and level. They are a little lightweight for vases, and I am going to weigh them down a little bit just to make them a little bit heavier because just with the rope and the plastic themselves, they are not super heavy. Now, if you find that your plastic cage is coming apart, you can always hot glue it together. I noticed that the point of mine was, so I just added a little bit of glue. And again, I'm just simply wrapping my heel. Then I start wrapping the entire boot. I'm kind of a pro at this point, and I'm going to speed this way up because it's kind of exactly the same thing I did on the first one. But again, I wanted to make a second one to do a pair. I guess you could do one. One would be cute too if you can only find one of these little tinsel witches boots at the Dollar Tree. But if you can find two, a pair I think is always better because it's just like, a pair of shoes. And they're just such a cute little size. They're in with the same tinsel items like the witch's hat and stuff like that, which I love to decorate with those too. So again, I get here to the very top. Once I get there, I can just start hot gluing it to the plastic, and then I do like another row on top to completely mask that part. And then we'll just have to go in and wrap the toe of the boot as well. If you do them one right after another like this, you'll remember exactly how you made the first one, so it's a little bit easier. So again, I hot glued it under the heel and just wrap this around until we get to the very, very end. And again, if you don't get it, like you're kind of going at an angle right here, if you have to kind of skip a little section, I did there at the very bottom. I kind of skipped a row. You're not going to be able to tell because that's going to be the bottom of your boot, right? And I want to fill this with just some very simple flowers from the Dollar Tree that's going to kind of go with the black and white Halloween theme. I'm going to glue down my last piece. Now, let me show you how cute these are. I love them. Aren't they adorable? I really like using that rope. I've never crafted with that before from the Dollar Tree. For the little buttons for the side of the boots, I thought I would use some of the Dollar Tree black berries. You could also use like black wood beads if you wanted. I liked these because they didn't have a hole in them. When you pull them off, they do kind of tear a little bit, but that's okay as long as you glue that side down. I thought the buttons would look really cute on the side, so that's where I'm going to glue mine. I'm going to do 3 of the blackberries from the Halloween section at the Dollar Tree down the side of the boot. I'm not going to do any laces or anything like that, but this just small detail added just made them so much cuter. Now, do kind of be careful. The berries are a little bit different sizes. They're kind of hard to see, but they kind of are. And again, I'm just going to hot glue these to the other side so like the buttons are on each side of the witch's boots. Just in a simple row like that. And then we can stand them up. Now for the very top, I'm actually going to use some of this faux fur. I was going to use the Dollar Tree black felt, and you totally could for that, for the little cuff here at the top. But then I remembered that I picked up this fur the other day at Walmart. I don't normally shop at Walmart, but I was there for something or other, and I saw this. I think it was only a couple of dollars. They had black and white, and I thought it would be really fun to craft with, so I did pick up some of this, and I thought this would make the perfect cuff for the top of my witch's boot. So I just cut out a strip that would go all the way around, and then I cut it in half because I don't need it to be very big because these boots are not very big. And I'm just going to line the top of it so it kind of has like a fancy little cuff at the top of our witch boot because our little witch is going to be fancy, okay? So I attach a little hot glue on the inside of the rope here and gluing that in where I kind of have enough material to kind of fold it over the top, but not super a lot because I already have the buttons on there. I don't want to interfere with that. And I just kind of hot glue that in place. Super easy. It does kind of give them a little bit of a snow boot feel, but it also gives it luxury with the black fur. That's what I was kind of going for with this, that our witch is super bougie. So again, I just hot glue it on the inside and kind of cuff it over the very top of it to be the very top of our little witch's boot. Just another fun detail that I think made these witch's boots really beautiful. Aren't they looking so cute? For the greenery, I'm just going to use some simple baby's breath from the Dollar Tree again. I like that. It's kind of got a green leaf on it, but I like the little white flowers. I think they're perfect for Halloween. So I have 2 bundles of those, and I'm just going to kind of just try to leave them all attached. They are a little bit taller than what I need for these little boots, but I can always shorten the stem of them. I just use my wire cutters and kind of right where they come together. I'm going to cut the wire right in there and still have to kind of bend it back and forth a little bit. But some baby's breath on this side. I don't know why I like the baby's breath for Halloween. I think it's just really beautiful. It's not super overpowering like some of the Dollar Tree florals. And they don't have a lot, like Halloween florals. They just have like the black roses with like the eyeballs, which you could totally do that too if you wanted to. But I really wanted this just delicate baby's breath. I think it looks good in these elegant witch boots, right? So again, I shortened the other baby's breath and put that in our second boot. And that's when I noticed that they did kind of want to tip over a little bit. So I think I'm going to have to weigh them down a little bit to make them a little bit more bottom heavy because they're just made out of plastic and rope. They're not super heavy. So I'm just going to do that with some Dollar Tree stones just by dumping some here in the bottom until they stand up a little bit better. And I'm glad I did that because I don't want them tipping over on me all the time. That would drive me crazy. And then I'm going to add the baby's breath in there. Try not to add too many stones in there so that you can still get your florals in there. But I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to display them together side by side like this for a beautiful pair of witch boots. I'm so glad I found those. I wanted to do like a witch boot DIY and I had no idea how I was going to be able to do that because I don't think I've ever seen these before at the Dollar Tree. I was so excited to find them at my store last night. Aren't they so cute? I think that fur element from Walmart really added a nice touch, and I'm so glad I added the little black berries for the little buttons on the side. I guess you could also do buttons too, but very fun for Halloween. Okay, for the next DIY, we're going to be making a life-size witch. So this is the changes that I made. So again, I got a Dollar Tree laundry basket, and I just use a razor blade to cut a hole big enough for the broomstick, just to put the like a little screw part of the broomstick in there to make it more stable. I also picked up a Dollar Tree paper towel holder. And so this one, I'm experienced with how to make these stable. So this one I'm going to make correctly. So if you just make the skeleton one, use the advice from this one because I did have to go back and make some changes, right? So again, I'm going to start out with like my 4 corners here of my zip tying it to the laundry basket. As you can see, that paper towel holder just fits on there perfectly like it was made for this. And I do those 4 zip ties. Now this is the reinforcement. I find them to be a little front heavy depending on how I decorate them. And so I find that if I put a zip tie every single one, at least on the back, it's going to make it more stable. It's going to hold it closer to the laundry basket. Now, if you're not using a Dollar Tree laundry basket, if you're using a round laundry basket that is a little bit heavier, you might get a little bit heavier base. I didn't realize exactly how lightweight these are. They are pretty lightweight. So anything you can do to make it more stable, but it provides a great height to make these life size. And this skeleton, I think, is even taller than me. So again, I picked up another Dollar Tree, a broomstick, just a plain one. I'm going to pop the broomstick down into it. See, I just put the screw part down inside. And it's also really important to have your paper towel holder on the front like this. See, I have all the zip ties on the back, and then I have the paper towel holder on the front, so it's keeping it from tipping over towards the front. And I just attached that with 3 pieces of duct tape. So this is what it looks like so far, our life-size witch DIY. Now, again, we need to make the shoulders, the arms. I'm going to use another Dollar Tree ruler and another Dollar Tree foam noodle. I do make the arms a tiny bit different this time because I don't have any witch hands, so you're not going to be able to see it underneath of her witch's cloak. So I just kind of wedge it in there like that, so they will lean down a little bit more than the skeleton that's trying to grab you. They do still stick out a lot though, and then that's going to be the shoulder, and I just left it in there with friction. No duct tape this time for the shoulders and the arms for my witch. But basically, that's all there is to it, except for the fact we're going to be using like a milk jug for the witch head. So this is going to get in the way when I go to put it on my broomstick. So I'm trying to find a way just to pop it off. I found the best way to do it was just a pair of pliers and just break the plastic. Now I can go in and attach it. So as you can see, I make it go over. So the hanger is on the front. The fun noodle goes around the back. And then I just use 1 piece of duct tape to attach that to my broomstick, kind of lining it up with a sticker on the broomstick again, like that. So I have plenty of room for the milk jug that we're going to use for the witch's head. For the cloak, I'm also using a Dollar Tree black plastic tablecloth, just one, and I'm going to use it lengthwise towards the front and the back to make it long enough, and then just have the shorter parts of the rectangular tablecloth be for the sleeves for the cloak. So this is what our witch looks like so far. So very similar construction to the skeleton reaper that I did. Again, I take duct tape, and about 4 times down each side, I just taped it so it is closed on the side. A quick little no-sew cloak. I'm going to use 2 of the Dollar Tree creepy cloths in black to make it look better. I think you could also use, I've seen people use like weed block and stuff like that too. If you can find that at Dollar Tree, it looks kind of creepy too. But I'm a big fan of the creepy cloth. So I find the halfway point and then the very center, and I just find that, put it over the broomstick. It's open like this, so you don't have to cut a hole or anything like that. Drape that over the sleeves of our witch for our witch's cloak. And we're also going to have a cape for our little witch too, that I found at the Dollar Tree. Now for this one, I want it to be longer in front. I want it to go all the way to the ground for my second creepy cloth. So I kind of measure that. And then about halfway here, I just put it on, draping the rest of it along the back. And it looks really creepy. It just takes that cheap Dollar Tree plastic tablecloth and makes it look a little bit better. So this is what it looks like so far. And I'm a little creeped out because I swear I just saw orbs on that video, and I'm doing Halloween decor and seeing ghost orbs. Not cool, man. Not cool. For the cape, I found this at the Dollar Tree. It was in with the costumes, like the witches' hats and stuff. So I picked up a witch's hat. I also picked up a witch's cape. It's child size, so it's not real big, but I think it's going to work. I just put it here along the back of our witch's cloak and simply tie it on the front. It's just going to provide a little bit more texture. It's made out of a satiny material, so it makes it look a little bit, improves the look of the tablecloth a little bit better too. And then this is what I'm going to use. Nobody drinks cow milk in my house, so I had to use my tea container, but it's just a gallon container like for milk. And I'm going to paint it with some of the Dollar Tree glow-in-the-dark green paint. I just have to simply remove the labels from my milk jug or my tea jug. I found that the best way was to soak it. I tried using a little Goo Gone, but the stickers were on there pretty well. And, you know, the milk jug material is pretty thin, so I didn't want to damage it in any way. So I did take it to the sink and run it under hot water, and I was able to get my labels off pretty well. And we're going to simply paint this green to make a witch's head. I've seen lots of witch head milk jugs that like people hang from trees and stuff at Halloween. So I thought I could make a life-size witch with a milk jug. So this is the paint. It's a little bit bright green that I would like for a witch's face. But since it glows in the dark and it actually works, I think that I will just leave it this color. I just take a stencil dauber because I want it to look like just even coverage all over. It kind of gives me like a just, you know, sponge finish. And even though I don't have to go over the entire milk jug, I do just for completeness sake. I'm going to be adding witch hair, and a witch's hat to this DIY to make her even more fun. And I even went online, tried to see how other people had done their witches' faces because I kind of suck at freehanding stuff like that. But if I have a guide to go with, like the face that somebody else has made, I can do it really easily with paint pens. So it's going to be upside down. So the top of the milk jug is going to be the neck of the witch, and the handle is going to be the nose of the witch. So that part with the handle is going to have to be the best part painted. I did know that there was a sell-by date on there though, so I take some fingernail polish remover and that comes off really easily because that was going to be impossible to paint over with just one coat of paint. I'm also going to go ahead and take the little plastic ring off of the milk jug because I don't need that. It's going to get in the way, especially with painting it, so just trying to cut that off. And again, just going to paint everything with that green paint. I wasn't sure, since I did such a thin coat, if it would glow in the dark because I've never used a glow in the dark paint before, but I was so impressed that it did. So again, this part's going to be the face where I paint the eyes. There's going to be the nose. We're going to do a mouth. And you don't have to do a mouth. You can just do eyes if you'd like. But I wanted to do a funny expression on my witch to make this DIY project really whimsical. So just trying to make sure everything is covered. And again, that the face part is really covered. It was a little tricky to try to paint like on the sides and the inside of the nose. But I wanted to kind of just get everything that green color. And, you know, I don't actually mind this color for a witch's face. I think it's really kind of cute. In my last Halloween DIY video, I did a lot of black, white, and green Halloween projects for Halloween, and I think they turned out really cool. So for the face, I use a black paint pen. I'm using the Posca paint pens. They're my favorite. You can get them on Amazon pretty cheap. I have them linked in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video. I highly recommend them. I'm going to do an arched eyebrow over here. Now, milk jugs are not symmetrical. See how one side's higher than the other? But that's going to be fun because it'll also add to her expression, right? I do another high arched eyebrow over here and just kind of doubling them up to make them a little bit thicker. And that's going to help make like her expression be kind of funny, right? Now, the eye sockets are going to be a little different too because this side's a little bit lower, but that's just going to be where her eye stops. So I do like a little cheek mark there, going all the way up to where the milk jug kind of changes and kind of do like a little square there almost. I do want it to be rounded, but you're kind of limited with the size there. I just fill that in with my paint pen, give her a little wrinkle line because she's an old witch, and then arch it a tiny bit, but you're not able to do it much without going up on the side of your milk jug. On this side, I want it to be the same height, so I start the same place, do a cheek mark, like a little rectangle for the eye. I could go higher on this one, and a little wrinkle mark on this side as well. Just making sure they're about the same width, and they both have like a little bit of an arched top. Those eyes look pretty good. For the mouth, I want her to have a silly smile, so I have it come out one side, a little grin. I'm going to give her an old witch's tooth, a snaggle tooth over here. This side, I'm going to go a little curvier, so I kind of do the side and then fill it in like that. Let's give her a wart on her nose because she is a creepy witch, right? So I just do like a little black circle. And then I thought it'd be fun to also maybe do a little wart here on her little witchy chin, just for fun. Now I do need to add a few more details, which I'm going to do with white. Going over white with black, a little tricky. I had to do a couple of coats. But I'm going to do like a little eye shine mark here in her eye, just to give a little character. I think that always helps when you like paint a face. And I have to go over it a couple of times again to cover that black finish. And I probably should have dried it a little bit better because I was getting my paint bed a little gray. And then I'm also going to fill in her tooth. I found this witch design online. I can't remember the blog's name. I think I still have it open on my browser. If I find it, I will put a link to her blog down in the description of today's video because I used her little witch face design as a template and it was really easy to do. So that worked well. For her hair, I wanted her to have something gray. The only kind of gray hair I could find for her at Dollar Tree was the microfiber mop head. It is gray and white, and it's like this kind of braided pattern, which isn't exactly what I wanted, but I really want her to have gray hair because I always like my witches to have gray hair. I don't know why. I think it's because I used to dress up as a witch when I was a child, and my mom had the most hideous gray wig that we would always wear, and we'd always win all of the like Halloween costume contests because the witch costume was so great because of the gray hair. As you can see, it's looped though, so I'm just finding which ones are looped and cutting them close to the base. I want to leave it attached as a mop head. That's going to make it easier. She's going to be wearing a witch's hat, so you won't be able to see that. But I want her hair to be longer and it look more like hair. So it's important to cut every single one of the loops. I just do like 3 or 4 at a time. I'm trying to make sure that I don't miss any of the loops and I cut them all. Really easy hair. I've never used this microfiber mop head to craft before. So this was a first. I'm going to put it on top of the milk jug, or I guess the bottom of the milk jug like that, and have it be her witch's hair. And I think there's going to be just the right amount of hair, and I like the fact that it's a little bit long. It can stick out from her witch's hat. Now, the Dollar Tree only has children's witches' hats with their costumes. And I don't like the fact that it's a little bit smaller than I need and it is sheer on the brim of the hat. So I'm going to modify it slightly to make it a little bit more like what I want. I can't make it bigger, but I can line it. So to line it, I just picked up a black satin pillowcase from Dollar Tree. Honestly, you could use whatever you have. You could use felt, black fabric, whatever. But if you want a more solid black witch's hat like I do, then you're going to need to line this one. I couldn't find any that didn't have the lining. They have this one and they also have like a purple version of this. I don't mind the spider webs and spiders. I think those are cute. But I'm just going to cut out a square of that black satin pillowcase. That's going to be big enough to line my witch's hat. I'm not going to bother ironing it or anything. I don't think it really matters. I just make sure that my hat is not in the way by kind of tucking it in like that and putting it on here. I think I want the shiny side here in case you can see that part. And I'm going to simply attach it with hot glue around the inner and outer edges of the brim. I thought this would still be easier than DIYing my own witch's hat just by modifying it. So around the inside of the hat, I just do a bead of hot glue halfway around and glue the fabric to that. And if the wrinkles bother you, you can totally iron that part out. They ended up not being an issue in the end. So I'm glad I didn't really waste my time with it. And I just do the same thing on the other side, just gluing it there to the brim. Now, I do need it to fit on her hat, though, so I still need the hat to be open, right? So then once I get that dry, I just go in with a pair of scissors and I cut out the circle of fabric here in the middle so I can still put it on her witch's head. Because, again, it's a little bit smaller than what I need, but if I have the opening, I can make it work. Now for the outer rim, I'm going to do the same thing. There is like a wire here covered by fabric. I just put hot glue on that. So you won't be able to see any of that come through the mesh. And just kind of hot glue like 1/3 of a section at a time. And that looks so much better. I wish that this part of the hat was black like the top of the hat. Then I wouldn't have to do this extra step. But 1/3 at a time, I just hot glue that. And again, no sew, definitely, on any of my craft projects. I'm going to go in with my scissors and just cut that as close as I can to the fabric so that you won't be able to see any fraying or anything like that. Because, you know, it's just fabric. It's going to fray if you cut it. But I think I can cut it close enough here to the hot glue to keep it sealed to keep from fraying. And I just carefully go around cutting that just as close as I can, trying to cut it a little bit smaller than the brim of the hat so that you can't see it from the top. And an important step, just lining that just so I have a black witch's hat. Now, it is definitely more of what I was going for. I do want it to stand up, so I take a little polyfill here from an old pillow, just pop that in there just to make sure that it stands up nice and pointy. And now we can go ahead and put this on our witch's head. I have her hair just kind of sitting here on top of the witch head, trying to figure out exactly where I want it. And then I can put it on her just like that. Pretty cool. It is a little bit of a tight fit, so I am going to use some hot glue just to make sure everything stays in place. So I do some hot glue right here on the front and kind of glue that to the corner of the milk carton here. This was the part that I had a little bit hard time getting that part to stick, especially just moving it around and trying to glue the other side. So let me try that again, gluing that here on the front. And then I glue it like 2 other times around the brim of the hat just to make sure it stays on because it's a little bit small for her milk jug witch's head. These projects were so much fun. Big impact Halloween DIYs that are going to be great for Halloween decor. Going to be great for my trick-or-treaters. Really inexpensive using items from the Dollar Tree. And if you're having a Halloween party, these would be perfect. Now, one thing about if you have a Halloween party, you might want to weigh down the laundry basket a little bit with some books or something underneath the cloak just to make it a little bit sturdier if you have kids running around and stuff like that. I'm going to try it on. I wasn't sure what to do with this part. to see if it was going to fit on there. As you can see, it's a little loose right now, so the head wants to jiggle around, but I think I've got a really easy fix to that. I'm just going to pop it off and add more duct tape. What I did was add like one piece of duct tape at a time here where her neck would be, until it's thick enough where I can slide it on there and it will stand straight up. I didn't want to add too much though, so that's why I do it like one piece of duct tape at a time, just to make sure that I don't get too much. I think I ended up using a total of 3 pieces of duct tape until it stood up straight. I'm going to arrange her little witchy locks. And then I'm going to use just a piece of black velvet ribbon. This is from the Halloween aisle. It can be anything black just to cover the milk jug, like screw top and the neck, kind of all the parts, make it look a little bit better. So I just cut a piece that's large enough to go around the witch's neck. Use some hot glue to glue that to the back now that I have her all put together. And it finishes her off with a, fun little turtleneck maybe to go with her cloak. And this is how she turned out, our life-size witch, using a milk jug and supplies from the Dollar Tree. She is so cool. Here is a little bit of a more close-up view of her. I'm glad that I found the cape with the witch's costume. And again, the creepy cloth adds just so much more texture and creepy appeal the way that it hangs off of her cloak like this. But here's like a little bit more closer look of her face. I love the face that I painted on there. I think that's so cute. And her gray and white locks are really fun too. And if you didn't want to do hair, you could always do the black tablecloth and just cut it into strips too for her hair, to make it a little bit more weatherproof if you're going to put yours outside. But here it is, our life-size witch. Now the next project, we're going to be making a haunted dock out of these little wooden signs from the Dollar Tree and the little black mini lanterns and plungers. So I wanted my dock to be black, and I was only able to find 2 of the blackboard signs like this from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to use a white one. I'll just paint it, no big deal. I wanted the wood slats to be going this direction, and so I glue them side to side like this to make a long deck. And this turned out amazing. I had this vision in my head. I knew that the black lanterns would be involved, but I absolutely love how it turned out. It's almost like a display tray or a tier tray in the end, that I can change up what's on it and stuff. It turned out so cool. So since I painted the one in the middle, I went ahead and painted all of them so they would all kind of match. And I also got some of the black acrylic paint down in the cracks between the boards. So I went back with a brush and made sure I filled that all in just so it's all consistent. I'm going to boost this up because this is going to be a dock, and we're going to decorate it with lanterns and like buoys and all different kinds of stuff. It turned out so cool. I'm so glad I decided to make this DIY. So I got pretty good coverage. I just go over it a little bit more to make sure it is solid black, and I decided to do the sides as well just to make it look cleaner. I'm not going to do anything with the bottom except attach some legs. So I'm going to use the plungers. I picked up 2 of them from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use those to make the light posts for the lanterns, and also to make the dock post legs to stand this up off the ground a little bit to make it into a tray. So these are my 2 plungers. I had to go to 2 Dollar Trees. Of course, the small one by my house didn't have any. But I love crafting with these. It's such a good deal, $1.25 for this size dowel. Just a matter of removing the stickers. The first one came off easy. The second one decided to fight me a little bit. I'm going to leave them just natural wood like this because I've got a lot of black going on already with the dock, and I think this looks more natural, something that you would find at a dock anyway, just kind of untreated wood that you would find outside. Now, I'm going to measure how big these need to be able to hold up the lanterns, because even though they're mini lanterns, it's going to be about 7 inches. So I'm going to need 3 of those because I have 3 lanterns. And then with the rest of it that I have left over, I can use that for the dock legs. So I just took those to my saw, cut those down, 3 pieces. I left kind of the domed top on the 2 and not on the other one because it was a second cut, but that's fine. I kind of like the fact that they're not all the same. And then this is what I'm left with. So I want to cut off a little part here with a screw. So I'm going to need my dock legs to be about this tall. So I go cut 4 of them. I think 4 is going to be enough for this tray. You could always do more. You could always do 6 if you need to. And then I just give them a quick sand. I'm going to leave these the natural wood color too. I think it's going to be a fun contrast with the black deck of the dock. And I'm glad I did that because, you know, spooky Halloween, and I want it to be a haunted dock. And I tried to find ideas for somebody that had done this or somebody that sells this, and I couldn't find anything. So just out there all on my own with this project, as I do with many projects. So these are the 4 dock legs. It's going to boost it up off the ground. And I didn't want them to be too tall. Since I'm only using 4 of them, I wanted them to be just like a little tray. So I just attached those to the 4 corners with a little bit of hot glue. And then these are going to be my 3 light posts that I'm also going to integrate into like the sides of the dock. I want them to all be in the back so that the lanterns aren't blocking anything and I can hang them on it like that. But I don't have any hooks or anything, but I do have some Dollar Tree nails that are fairly long. So I think they'll be long enough to be able to hook the little lanterns on top. And we're also going to make the lanterns look creepy because they have like a really bright white LED light, which doesn't really look creepy, but I found a way to make them look really creepy for this haunted project. So I just put a nail in a little bit on the top of each one of my plunger dowel pieces to hang that on there. I have 3 of them and I need 3 nails all about the same place. I had 3 of these signs, so I'm going to do 1 of the light posts on each sign, but on these I'm going to do the corner. So I do 1 on the left corner, 1 in the very middle of the middle sign, and then 1 on the right. Now, hot glue seemed to be strong enough for the plastic lanterns. They're not super heavy, but you could always screw in from the other side if you needed to on those, if you wanted to make yours a little bit sturdier. These are the mini lanterns. I love these. They have the batteries in them and everything for $1.25. They come in black and white, I believe. And I'm going to see how I can make them creepy. I wasn't too impressed with the bright white. Like, they would look creepier if they were like yellow or flicker at all, but they're just a white LED light, which I don't really enjoy. One time I got those kind of lights for my Christmas tree and I had to take them all back because I was like, no, I need twinkle. For sure. But just trying them on the nails to see if that's going to work, and it does. Now, they do already have the batteries in them, but I wanted to make them creepy, and I thought the best way to do that would be to take them apart. They have 2 screws on the bottom, 1 on each side. I just remove those and carefully try to pop the bottom off, which is made out of plastic, and everything kind of came out in one piece. Now, I was surprised to find that the panels inside the mini lantern are actually made out of glass. I guess I just assumed they were made out of plastic, but they're actually more high-end than I thought for $1.25. Now, sometimes those Dollar Tree screws can be very tricky, and one was stripped before I did anything to it. And so I was not able to get it out no matter what I tried. But you know what? It's made out of plastic. So we're going to make it work. So I only have 3 of these. So I just bent the plastic back and pulled the candle part out. And again, got my 4 glass panels out of the lantern. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with the last one. I only had a problem with that 1 screw, and I was able to get everything put back together. So in the end, it worked out pretty good. I like the fact that these have batteries in them because even a lot of the Dollar Tree Plus stuff does not have batteries in it anymore. So that saves even more money. And I think they're so cute with the little faux candles inside. Now it's time to make them look creepy. I thought staining the glass on the lighthouse worked really well. So I'm going to try to do the same thing with this that I did on my haunted lighthouse project. So I used probably a little bit more Mod Podge on this project and a little less paint, but I used Mod Podge, and again, I'm using that leaf green paint by Delta, and I'm just sponging it on with a stencil dauber from Dollar Tree. Now, I want it to be thin and tinted, and I don't want to block the light coming out of it, so I just go over all of my pieces here. I have 12, and sponge that on first. And while my paint is still wet, I went back in, folded up a paper towel, and sponged off the excess paint. So it gives me like this cloudy look. I really love how these turned out. They just look so spooky, and you can still see the light through them really well. I'm only going to tint the inside of each one of the glass pieces of the lantern. I thought it would look creepier if the paint was on the inside, and it should hold up better that way too. So I just kind of daub all of them, making sure that I dried them off. And then I flipped them all over. I'm going to use some glass cleaner on this side just to make sure that I didn't get any paint. If I did, it clears it up, and I have just straight glass for the outside of our lanterns. Now it's just a matter of putting them back together. This one was the trickiest because, again, my screw was stripped and I couldn't take the bottom off fully, but I was able to get it back together. I started out kind of struggling to put these in, but then I learned there were little plastic clips in the top of these, and that if you put them in there, it lines things up better. And then once you get your little faux candle in there, that holds all the glass panels in place. And then I'm going to push my little light back in there and hope that it still works. And it did. So I just replaced my screw in this one. There's my first creepy lantern. Didn't that make a big difference? And when it lights up, it's so cool. So again, I'm just going to replace all 4 glass panels, and I'm doing the clean glass side out, the tinted glass inside of the green. And I'm glad I decided to do green on this project too. I just think black and green look so creepy for Halloween. And I love the fact that this is a lighted dock, like a haunted dock. So it's going to go with my coastal decor for sure. This is my last one. By this point, I had figured out exactly where to put these in there. Made it a little bit easier, and you can leave it all together if it's still together like that. Pop it back on. Again, there's only 2 screws on the bottom, so that makes taking them apart a little bit easier than if they would have had all 4. So I think they're looking creepy and cool. I think they're ready to go on their little light posts. I just hang them on the nails. If you had like cup hooks or something like that, that would work well too, to hang your lanterns on. But this is what the haunted dock looks like so far. And now I'm going to do the rest of the dock. For mine, I'm going to use these Dollar Tree wood slices. I know these can be a little difficult to find from Dollar Tree, and you could use anything. You could use their wood stems. You could use sticks from your yard. You could use even driftwood for this. I'm going to do one of the posts where each one of my light posts is. So I just attach them with hot glue again, and then I'm going to do one post in between each one. So I just kind of look to see where I think that they need to go. I didn't measure anything. I attached this all with hot glue, and now we're going to just kind of tie them together. And then I decided, you know what? I need to put 2 back here too, so it kind of makes sense. So I glue 2 here where the posts are missing, and then I can just use the light post for the rope that we're going to tie, which is actually just twine. I traded it up for the thinner twine from Dollar Tree just because I thought it would be a little easier. Tie a knot on there. I'm carefully trying not to yank too much on those. I don't want to disturb my fresh hot glue on those, so I'm gently tying a knot. Doesn't take much to attach it. And you want a little bit of slack in between each one so it kind of sways down a little bit. So I'm going to do that, just tying that all the way across. And it's going to give you that dock feel with your buoys and your rope on the sides, which is what I was going for. Now I'm going to have this displayed where the light posts are in back. So it's going to be kind of like a horizontal tray like this. So that's going to be the front of it that I just did. I'm just going to burn off any fuzzies here from the twine with my lighter to clean it up a little bit. And it's a little crazy looking, but you know what? I kind of like it. It's a haunted dock. It's supposed to look a little bit crazy. But I'm just making sure everything is tight enough, and I think it is. So back here, I do the same thing, but I go about halfway up my light post. So that's about the same place that I attached it on the front buoys. And then I have these 2 pieces that I added in between. So I want it all to be about that height. So again, I just tie a simple 1 knot in these, trying to keep the pattern going as I go across here. And you can always tie it first and kind of slide it on. Made it a little bit easier. When I get to the end here, I wanted to make sure this one was kind of going the right way, and I double tie the end so it doesn't come untied. That looks really good. Here's my little hanging lanterns. And I'm loving how this haunted dock is coming together. What do you guys think? I think it's really fun. I just burned off my fuzzies back here, and now we can decorate it. I was trying to think what I could decorate it with. I have one of these little light up ghosts from the Dollar Tree that lights up its eyes all different colors. So I thought that would be spooky and a perfect size. I'm going to put him right over here. And then I'm going to do some more grow creatures from Dollar Tree and some of their sea life creatures, which are also from the toy aisle. They're a great resource for these things at the Dollar Tree, so keep your eye open in the toy aisle for sure. The ones I'm looking for is like the lobster, the starfish, and then I was trying to think a crab maybe, because some of these things were just too small, like an octopus and things that belong in the water. Really wouldn't make sense, but these things would make sense if they would be like on a dock. And so they are very colorful though, as you can see. So I'm going to paint them to kind of make them make more sense. This is that parsley. This is that bright green that I used for my sea monster tentacle on my haunted lighthouse. I'm going to use that on both the crab and the starfish. Just masking those colors the best that I can. It was a little bit harder to cover that one. And then I switch it up to the leaf green for the lobster, just so they're not all exactly the same color. And again, I'm going to paint the undersides as well, so you don't see any of that bright red. I don't want any other colors besides green and black and white on this project. And a little green crab. Now, my son really loved the fact that I made the crustaceans green, and I told him I made them green because they're zombies. He thought that was really funny. So we have our zombie crab, our zombie lobster, and our zombie starfish, because this dock is haunted. Now it's just a matter of figuring out where to put them. I kind of want to stand my starfish up back here, maybe up against the post a little bit. And then lobster over here, crab over here. I don't have as much room. And I'm going to glue them down just so they don't, they stay in place. A little dot of hot glue. Then I decided I wanted fishing nets. So I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree Creepy Cloth. This is the one that's ivory, and I think it makes a great fishing net on a smaller scale than the one that they have in the summer at the Dollar Tree. I'm going to have it like go over one of my light posts like that, kind of going over it, but I don't want to cover all my lanterns. I'm just going to partially cover one. So I kind of cut off the excess material. I'm going to drape that on my haunted dock. But again, I don't want to cover up everything. I want to kind of mask the starfish back there. He can be kind of hiding a little bit behind it. But I want you to be able to see the lobster and the crab. So I do move the crab on top of it so that you can see it. And again, it's a crab like in a fishing net. So that looks kind of cool. Now, I love it, but I kind of have a hole there. So I'm going to put a skull there. I thought that would be creepy for a haunted dock. So I got a Dollar Tree skull. I don't really like the color these come in. I think they look kind of cheap plastic. So I'm just going to give mine a quick paint distress to make it look a little bit better. I don't care if some of that color shines through, but I'm going to use like a little antique parchment and just kind of sponge that on to make it look a little bit more bone-like. I always paint the Dollar Tree skulls. I just don't like the way that they are. I think they look just kind of boring. Now, I was trying to avoid its eyes and nose, but it was kind of inevitable the way that I was painting it that I was going to get some in there. So I will have to touch those up a little bit. I just used a bronze Sharpie from the Dollar Tree to give me kind of like a brown eye socket, nose, and kind of distress the teeth a little bit so you can see his features a little bit. And I think he's looking way better. I like them painted for sure. I'm going to attach him with hot glue too, right about here. And our haunted dock is complete. I loved putting this together. As you can see, this is how it looks when the eyes turn blue. They flash different colors on the ghost. I always love those. But how creepy are those lanterns? I love it. It's like a great pedestal tray. So I could always switch out decor on here if I wanted to. But the green on the glass of the lanterns was definitely key. This is what it looks like in the dark. As you can see, it's a very like haunted, spooky glow on the dock, which definitely makes the dock look haunted. And I was really happy with how this turned out. The ghost and the skull, more traditional Halloween, definitely need to be there as well. So again, this is what it looks like during the daytime. It's still super cute, and lit up at night, it's super spooky. I also wanted to show you how it looks where the lights are blinking on the ghost. This is what it looks like. For this DIY, I wanted to make a Halloween sign, and sometimes these little wood round signs from the Dollar Tree can be a little bit thin. So what I'm going to do is put two signs together and make a chunkier sign. What I was thinking for this is I kind of wanted to make it look like a spooky Halloween, a full moon. So the first thing I did was just remove the hanger from one of the wood rounds there, and then I am going to start painting this. Now, I really think that you're only going to be able to see this back sign maybe a little bit around the edges. So that's the only place I have to paint this. I just go in with a little bit of white acrylic and just kind of make like a border around the edges just so it's not unfinished wood. And then this is going to be the back sign, which is why I went ahead and left the hanger on this one. And then we can make the other one look a little bit more like a moon. So this is the front sign. I just go over it with some white paint. Kind of, I think this might just be like an antique white acrylic paint, not bright white, but you know what I mean, more of a color I think that would be suitable for like a moon for Halloween. I think that's really fun. I also went ahead and painted the edges, and then I went over it with another coat because I found that it did really soak the paint in. Sometimes that raw wood from the Dollar Tree really does do that. I do want it to look a little bit like a panel sign too, have a little bit of texture. So what I'm going to do is right here in the middle, I am going to use a ruler, a metal ruler, and my razor blade, and I'm going to cut some slits into this to make it look like a board sign. It's just going to provide a little bit more character to the piece and make it look a little bit more high end. So I went ahead and did that 3 times to make like a total of 4 boards across the sign. Just because it's the moon didn't mean that I can't make it look like a board sign. Now for the window clings, I actually found these at Walmart, the black bats, basically anywhere you could find those. I thought we could combine those with one of like the little metal words, Halloween words from the Dollar Tree, and make something really cute. So I'm going to go in here with a little bit of Mod Podge and put that all over this area of the sign, smoothing that out so that I can add the window clings and they will stay in place. And window clings are a great way to DIY your own signs without using your Cricut or anything like that, or if you don't have one. I have different size bats on here. I really like the fact that they're just like black and white. I think that looks really cool. And I just laid those all on my little DIY moon. Now, if you wanted, you could add some craters and stuff to your moon too with paint pretty easily. I've done that on some other DIYs and it's turned out really cute. I decided I wanted a 4th bat because I did have a little bit more room on the sign. So I just added that, and then I went over everything with that matte finish Mod Podge, just going to seal it, take away that glossy look. But since I did like the boards, the individual boards, cutting it, I decided to continue that on through the window cling. It's just going to make them look a little bit better, I think. I just took a razor blade and just cut through the window decal right where I cut the sign into like individual like boards for a little bit more texture. Now this is the metal Halloween word sign that I found from the Dollar Tree that I really liked. It just says spooky. I think it's really cool, and we can add this to the sign. I was trying to decide if I was going to paint it or not, but I kind of like just the metal look. So let's go ahead and attach this to the sign as well. I just used a little hot glue here on the back, trying not to use too much. I don't want you to be able to see that from the front. Just enough to get it on here. I've also used other ways to glue these little metal words on. Sometimes hot glue is not the best, but it did work well for this one. Now that I have all of my sign put together here, we can go ahead and put it together. I want it to be a nice, thick, chunky sign. So instead of just gluing them back to back like I was originally planning on, I decided to add another layer in there. You can make it really thick and chunky if you put like something in there like a wood bead garland, or I'm going to use rope. So I'm just going to use some white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. It's going to give me a little texture around the edge. It's going to make it really thick and chunky, and I really like how this turned out. So I just glued this all the way around the edges here of the back sign. And of course I moved the hanger to the front now because I thought that it would maybe get in the way a little less. I also did another piece of rope in the middle just to give me something else tall to be able to glue the front sign on. And I added hot glue to all of the rope and laid my little spooky sign right here on top. Super cute and easy. I really love the black and white color scheme for Halloween. I think that works really well for my decor. Now that I have it all put together like this, I noticed it didn't really want to hang great, even though I moved the hanger. So I did decide to staple it here to the back, and that made it hang a little bit better against my wall. This is how it turned out, my little spooky full moon bat sign. I think it's really fun for Halloween and really easy to put together. Let me give you a little closer look of how this turned out. I love a good full moon and bat DIY for Halloween. I think it's very classic, something that goes with really any of your existing decor too. So that always works really well too. And let me show you what it looks like from a distance. Really cute. What do you guys think about this one?
Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to do like a little spooky Halloween tree. So I'm going to use a little metal bucket from the Dollar Tree, one of the little green foam pieces that fit perfectly inside, also from the Dollar Tree, and a Dollar Tree sign. I want this to be nice and sturdy, and so I'm going to go ahead and use some black rocks from the Dollar Tree. It can be any kind of weight to weigh that down, and then we can use the foam to fill up the top part of the little metal bucket. And I just got a plain galvanized metal bucket, nothing on it. But if you could find a Halloween one that was black and white, that would be super cute too. And I just put my foam down right inside. And this looks like one I've already used before, but that's okay because we're going to cover it up with some creepy looking Spanish moss. And I just hot glue that to the top. That's going to make the bucket look nice and full. It's also going to cover up all of that green foam that's underneath. It does end up looking a little wild once you get it all on there, but you can always trim it up. And then that's going to provide the perfect base for a little spooky Halloween tree. We're going to do that by using one of these like black and white Halloween signs. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the staples and the ribbon from the back. And we're going to use these to kind of make a directional arrow sign, but using a creepy stick I found in my neighbor's yard. And so I got one that had a little bit of a T at the top. I thought that made it look really cool. And I'm just going to hot glue the flat side down to the top side. It does have a little galvanized metal ghost hanging from it, but I like that touch, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it. It's going to go great with the little metal bucket. I wasn't sure if this was going to stay on, so I had some scrap Dollar Tree rope that I used to hot glue that on there to make it a little bit stronger. Then I was trying to decide if I had enough room for all three of my signs, and I don't think I do. So I picked out which ones were my favorite. I'm going to glue this one on the same exact way, gluing the stick on there, and then following that up by gluing on some rope to kind of make a little bit of a brace to make this sign stronger. Just a simple free stick. It's going to look way better than like a yardstick or anything like that. And then to kind of take away the sheen of the paper and to make this a little bit more weatherproof, I go over both signs with matte Mod Podge to seal them down a little bit. Because that's one thing I'm definitely going to fight by putting this out on the porch is weather. I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors to cut a little bit of a hole to get me started here on the foam. Also putting some hot glue down in that hole so we can just put the stick down in there and make a really strong base to hold this up. Quick and easy little directional arrow sign. Looks super creepy for Halloween. And I think it turned out really fun. What do you guys think about this one? Let me show you how it looks. This is how it looks sitting in my house. It would be great sitting in your house too, but I actually use this to decorate out front of my house for Halloween too, and I love how it turned out.
Really simple. It only required a couple of items from the Dollar Tree. And I love using like actual sticks and stuff like that for Halloween. I think you can make them look kind of creepy. For this DIY, I'm going to make like a glowing moon DIY.
So to do that, I'm going to use a couple items from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use a black candlestick, one of the little battery operated lights, They have like little lights inside of a little light bulb and a Dollar Tree Christmas ornament. You can always use, they have like almost like a little snow globe right now in the Halloween section that would probably work the same for this. But basically, I just wanted these little battery operated twinkle lights in this to light up the little ornament to make it look like a Halloween moon. So I just have to try to figure out a way to put this all together. I'm not going to use the light bulb part at all. I just want to kind of sit the ornament on top of this where I can feed all the little lights in to make it glow inside. I don't really want it to be the gold color though, so I thought I would just paint it that Caribbean blue color. You're not going to be able to see very much of this in the final product, but you'll be able to see a little bit of it. So it's going to give it just a little bit of a blue accent. I try to avoid the on-off switch there on the bottom and the battery so I don't cause any problem with that. And then just trying to test for size if the little ornament from the Dollar Tree is going to fit on there well. It doesn't fit on there perfectly, but I think we can still make it work. So I just take the little string lights and feed them inside the globe like that. And then to make it look like a little moon, I just take pillow fluff from an old pillow and fill it up to make it look all modeled like a moon. When you light it up at night, it's going to give you that same cool moon effect. And since it doesn't fit on there just perfectly, I just use hot glue to attach it instead because they're basically about the same size. It does leave you with that gap if you're going to use a Christmas ornament like that, but I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree white rope to kind of fill that in, and that's going to go still with my blue, white, and black color scheme. This is the thicker white rope, but you could use either one, and I'm just going to start down there where the two come together. It's also going to help hold it together a little bit, and just hot glue this around to fill in that gap between the two pieces. And it's going to give it a fun coastal vibe as well. Now, I cut it off here. I was originally thinking that I was going to only add rope to this part, but I kind of wanted to fill it in more. So I did do a second row here where the rope goes all the way up along the side of the ornament. And I really liked how that looked, so I decided to do it on the bottom too, just to make it a little bit thicker down here. So avoiding the on-off switch so I can still turn it on and off, I just wrapped some more around the bottom, filling up most of it with a little bit of the blue trim still visible. As you can see, I kept kind of adding to it until I was happy with it. And I just wanted it to be a cool like rope base that I can then put on the little candlestick to hold it up. So I just want to make sure this works. So I'm just going to sit it like on the candlestick. I can't glue it to it because then I wouldn't be able to turn it on and off because the switch is on the bottom. So it's going to kind of go together like that, which I think looks pretty cool. Now, to make the moon look creepy and fun for Halloween, I thought we would use some of these little cupcake toppers from the Dollar Tree because there are some little black bats in there. But if you can't find these, the shape would be pretty easy to cut out. So I found that there was 2 bats in there, so that's going to have to work. They are on toothpicks, so I just go ahead and remove those. And then we can just attach those to our little lit up moon. I really like the effect that pillow fluff gives inside. I just hot glue the body so I can kind of make the wings stick up a little bit if I want, kind of like they're flying in front of a Halloween moon, and display it on the candlestick just like that. Pretty easy. I definitely had to use the rope to fill in some problem areas on that, but I wanted to test it out to see if it looked like a moon, and it lights up really cool. I think this is a really fun Halloween decoration, mainly because it lights up. So this is how it turned out. Our little Christmas ornament Halloween moon with a coastal rope border there and a black candlestick.
And I really like the glowing effect on this. I really think I captured like the look of a moon with some bats flying in front of it. But it was really easy to do and really fun as well. Now for the next DIY. I picked up one of these Dollar Tree frames. The reason I chose this one is it's square and it's going to be really easy just to pop out the back of it and have just a square frame. What we're going to be doing is a broom parking sign where we're going to DIY some brooms using some pre-made ones there from the Dollar Tree, and then we'll make some as well because I want each one of my brooms to be unique, and I want to do like a broom parking so they'll all kind of dangle down inside the frame. So once I got the staples removed, these are what I'm going to use. I got these little tiny screw eyes on Amazon. I think I have them linked in my Amazon shop under resin maybe because I use them for my resin projects a lot. They screw in pretty easily. And I'm just going to use a ruler. I'm going to do 4 brooms. I'm going to do them about every 2 inches. So what I found to work best was just to take a little tiny screwdriver from the Dollar Tree and kind of just get through the surface of the frame to make it easier to screw these in, especially by hand. I think that you might be able to get these from Dollar Tree from time to time, but I often don't find them there. I think you can use them for lots of like jewelry projects and stuff like that. I know sometimes they have jewelry items in the crafter square. But these are just plain silver ones. They're really tiny, so they're not going to be super obvious. You could also use probably like cup hooks or something like that if you had some smaller ones. And I am just screwing them in with my hand if I can, but if it gets too tight, I can always switch it up to a pair of pliers to kind of force it in a little bit better. So this is my 4th and final one. I'm going to try to use 2 of those brooms that are kind of pre-made there that you see from the Dollar Tree. They come in a 3-pack, and I'm going to try to DIY 2 of them as well. I want this to be a standing sign, so I picked up some Dollar Tree craft wood, and this is the, I think, 10-inch, so it's just the right size for this frame. I'm going to give it a quick sand, and I want it to match the black frame. I love that that frame was already black. I don't have to paint it, but I do have to paint the base, so just using some black paint. I think this is chalkboard paint, but it doesn't really matter. I am just going to paint the front, the sides, and the top and the back, anywhere you might be able to see it, since it's going to be like a standing display sign. This craft wood paints really well, so 1 coat is all it needs. And what I'm going to do is also do a sign for the top of the broom parking using a Dollar Tree wooden ruler. So this is going to be just the right size, and I can actually use that little ledge on there. It's going to come in handy. First thing I do is just remove the stickers from the ruler, kind of measure it. I'm going to go to my saw real quick and cut this down. They're super easy to cut, even if you have like a handsaw or something like that. And it's going to be a great sign here for the top of my broom parking. I do want it to be black too, to kind of blend in. We will be doing some writing on this with some paint pens, so we can kind of label our broom parking lot. I thought this was a really fun idea. I just went ahead and painted the ruler. I'm going to have the flat side be the front of the sign, and then like the raised side is going to help me line it up there with the top and actually help me attach it to the top. So I paint both sides and the edges in case they're visible. And now we can start DIYing some little witch brooms. These are really cute. They have these every year from the Dollar Tree. They have like a bread tie with like a bow on them for some reason. I always remove those. So easy enough just to unwind those and remove them. I do want each of these to look a little bit unique, and you'll see that I will kind of change them up just to make them different from each other. As you can see, they're a little bit too big, but that's no big deal. I can just cut down my broom fibers here with a pair of scissors. And I can also use just my miter scissors to cut down the dowel for the broom handle. Or any kind of saw would be easy to cut that with as well. But definitely it's easy with scissors with just the broom bristles. And I cut this one down to size as well. Now I'm going to make some witches brooms too using Dollar Tree dowel. I cut one down, and then you know what? The other half is about long enough for a broomstick as well. So I'm just going to use one of those, cut in half. And I want to stain it with some antique wax by Waverly. So I just kind of go over all the sides and ends of this to give me a nice wooden broom handle. I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm trying not to take off too much of it, just kind of blotting in them with some paper towels, and this is how they turned out. Now for the bristles of this broom, I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree raffia. So I'm going to unwind it a little bit so I can get a little bit larger bundle. I cut that off. I'm going to use about the area where it goes from fold to fold. And then all my bristles should remain kind of straight as well. I'm going to use some Dollar Tree hardware wire to attach this. You could also probably use twine. I just kind of put it over the dowel and I'm going to wire it together. I try to get it on there as tight as I can to make sure that like the broom stays together. This one's not a super full broom. Again, I want them all to be a little bit different. And I kind of cut it like you're cutting hair, so they're all a little bit different lengths, and it's going to make it look a little bit more ragged. I also add a little hot glue to try to keep that one in place because I felt like I didn't have it wired on as tightly as I wanted to. Now I need to make a second one. So again, I'm going to go kind of from fold to fold till I get a decent sized bundle of the Dollar Tree raffia. And I cut off a piece of the wire. And I learned my lesson on the first one. I'm going to wire this one a little bit tighter if I can. I like twist it when I get it on there so I can get it really tight before I start wrapping it around. And that seemed to work out pretty well to DIY a little broom. Again, I want it to be kind of point cut there to make them a little bit different lengths. Now it's time to make them a little bit more unique. So I'm going to use my miter scissors to cut this at like a 90-degree angle and a 60-degree angle so I can make it like a bent piece of wood. I used some hot glue to attach it back together, and it kind of gave it a gnarly like little broomstick appearance just to make it different than the other one that we made. Just needs to trim that down a little bit more. I'm going to kind of alternate my DIY ones with the pre-made ones. I'm also going to cut these and kind of rearrange the bristles in there to make them look a little bit more random. This one I'm going to paint the bristles so they look a little bit more brown. I think this is burnt umber acrylic paint, and I just paint over the outside edges. Nothing crazy, just to give this broom its own a little bit of personality. And I think that looks good. I think I will also try to like maybe lighten up the broomstick of this one with that burnt umber as well, just to make this one look a little bit different than the other one too. And again, kind of messing up my bristles, trimming them at different lengths, just going to give this broomstick a little bit of personality too. And DIYing broomsticks for Halloween is so much fun. Okay, those look great. So now I have my base. I have the sign for the top that I want it to say Broom Parking. So I'm going to go ahead and start that. I'm just going to use paint pens and freehand it. I start with my white Posca paint pens. It's kind of hard to paint white over black, but we're going to make it work. I just was going to spell out Broom Parking in just a simple font. And I have a lot of room left over at the end of the sign, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw a simple witch hat, super easy, to kind of fill in my excess space, and it kind of goes with the broom theme. And then I go over it again with another coat to make it pop. I really want the lettering to be gold, but I thought I needed a white background for my letters to make it pop against the black. So I just go over it all with the white. And then I go in with my gold Posca paint pen, and we can start making this gold. I want like the letters to be highlighted with white, so I kind of just try to go in the middle of each letter, making it gold with like a little bit of a white highlight. And that really did make it pop against that black sign. And then also kind of painted in my witch's hat as well. So that looks really good. And now we can go ahead and start putting this thing together. So I just start with some hot glue here on the bottom of my frame and glue that directly down to the craft wood. I used a pretty good amount of glue. You don't want to use so much that it makes a big mess, but enough to make sure it's secure. And then I glue my little sign here by pushing that ledge down to the top of the frame and gluing that right in place. And it makes a perfect sign for our broom parking. So we can start laying out our little broomsticks here. I was trying to figure out exactly how to hook these to it. I have the little eyes, but I need something to actually hook it to it. And the only thing I could really think of was to use that hardware wire from the Dollar Tree. I guess you could probably do some twine as well, but those little eyes that I used were very small, so I don't know if twine would actually fit through them. I do like the look of them though. So I'm just taking that wire. You could also use some of the floral wire from Dollar Tree. They have some great metallic tones of that right now. And I just string that around where I have 2 pieces of wire coming out that I can string that around the handle of my witch's broom. I'm also going to secure it with some hot glue so it doesn't slide off. I do end up kind of spinning those around, so the hot glue is more on the back in the final project, so you can't see it as much. You could also flip it over and do it that way too, I guess. So again, I take some wire, I twist it a few times, and then I twist that around my broom as tightly as I can get it to hold on to it. And kind of the more wire, the better. But again, I'm using hot glue on all of them because the straight nature of the dowel, I just thought the wire might slip off and I wanted to make sure it was secure. So continuing on, I like the fact that each one of the broomsticks is a little bit unique and they're all kind of altered in there as well, alternated. So a wire and hot glue for my third broomstick, and we're going to do the same thing here with the last. This project is almost done. I love how it turned out. I like how there's no background. You can see through it. And the little witch's broomsticks just kind of dangle down in there. A little bit of hot glue on this one as well. I do let that hot glue sit up a little bit so we can start to harden. And then I kind of arrange them a little bit by turning the wire so that hot glue is on the back and less noticeable, and making sure everything is hanging about the same length and not too long for my frame. Just a few little tweaks on this project and it is almost complete. And let me show you how it turned out. It's kind of hard to show you. Our little broom parking, I absolutely love it. It was so much fun to make. Everything was from the Dollar Tree and super inexpensive to make as well. Here are all of our little broomsticks. I love DIYing little broomsticks for Halloween. I don't know why, I just think they're so much fun. And it's pretty large and kind of stands on its own, just like this. Now for the next DIY, I'm going to use one of the witch hat wreath forms and some of the Dollar Tree leather, which is on sale right now at Dollar Tree. I picked up 2 of the black ones to cover the witch wreath form to make a black leather witch's hat. I'm just going to flip it over, and as you can see, it's the perfect size to cover the hat. I use a Sharpie and about like a 1/2 inch. I just draw a border so I can flap that around the hat to attach it. Simply cut that out. This faux leather from the Dollar Tree is so easy to craft with. When I found out it was 50 cents, I was like, I need to go back and buy more. And I do need to go back and buy more. I love crafting with it. And I don't know if that means they're getting rid of it at Dollar Tree. So if so, I definitely need to stock up because I love it. I'm going to use this not as a wreath, but as a wall hanging. So I'm going to show you how to make a really cool, large witch hat wall hanging that would be perfect for an impact piece for, Halloween decorating, or again, for a Halloween party. I just do a bead of hot glue on the wire wreath form. This is probably the easiest Halloween witch's hat wreath that I've ever done. No like wrapping it with string or anything like that. Just covering it all in one piece. So that's really cool. Once I get one side done, I'm going to do the same thing here on the other. Just kind of pulling it taut as I go, just doing one section at a time. And as you can see, it's super easy. I am going to do like a ribbon for the brim of the hat. So that will be a clean transition when I go from the brim of the hat to the top of the hat like this. So again, I needed 2 boxes of the black faux leather from Dollar Tree and one of the little witch hat wreath forms. I love these. I've made lots of witch hats with these. I've also done other things with these as well, made gnomes and really cool things. They're a really versatile wreath form. Just going to trim this up a little bit right here. I want to overlap with that wire, but not much. And then you have to kind of turn it on its side to get the leather to be long enough for this part. So kind of corner to corner like that. It's the perfect length. So again, I just flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing, about a 1/2 inch. I just go ahead and draw around that with a Sharpie so I can cut that down to size. That way I don't have too much excess fabric when I go to attach that. And just simply cut it out. As you can see, it cuts so easily. There's no fraying or anything like that. I've made surfboards with this stuff. I've made so many different things with this faux leather. I love it. They have it in ivory, navy, brown, and black, I believe. So just kind of lining that up. I'm going to start here at the base. It's going to overlap the leather on the main part of the hat slightly. And I'm going to go ahead and just glue that one section at a time. It glues really nicely too, even with hot glue. As you can see, it's not really melting or anything like that. And I'm using like super hot glue with this. And again, for this section, just kind of pulling it taut. I did cut a little groove there to make it lay flat there against where it overlaps with the top of the witch's hat, like right there. And then just hot glue that. I do have a little bit of excess material here at the ends that I can just simply trim off. And we have like a really cool black leather witch's hat going on here. I think it's looking really good. I do go ahead and glue this together just so it stays flat when I hang it against the wall. And then for the brim of the hat for the ribbon, I'm just using the black spider web ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I cut a piece long enough to overlap the back. It's the perfect width, I think, for this, and it's really subtle. I'm going to be hanging a Dollar Tree sign on this as well, and so this is going to provide a nice subtle backdrop to that. I just attach it to the back with hot glue, pulling it taut like that. And this witch's hat is really coming together. I do need to make it a hanger for it. I didn't attach that before. I'm just going to do it here on this first wire that goes across the wire wreath form. I just take some twine and simply tie a knot there where you won't be able to see it, and a functional hanger. Now, this is what I'm going to use to decorate it. The Wicked sign from Dollar Tree. So this is one of their wood signs. I'm going to save the hanger for this because I'm going to hang that on the witch's hat. And I love how this looks. Since it's such a big wall hanging, the witch's hat, I needed a big sign to decorate it with. I'm going to stain mine with some antique wax by Waverly. I don't want too much though. So as you can see, I'm just doing a very sparse coat all over with my foam brush. And then I immediately go over that with a wet baby wipe. So I kind of get a medium finish, but it brings out the wood grain in the project. Then I can just go ahead and reattach the hanger. And I'm going to simply just hang this back on my witch's hat. So easy to do. Such a fun, large piece to decorate for Halloween, and really pretty as well, I think. If you wanted to paint your Wicked sign, you totally could. Any color that you're using for your decor. I consider doing white or green, but I'm glad that I stained it because I love the Dollar Tree wood when it's stained like that. I think it makes it look more high-end. And it's so simple just to drape that over. The hanger was the perfect length to just hang it there on the front of our witch's hat. And it looks great there next to my DIY witch's broom.
I found this little chalkboard at the Dollar Tree. It's a little coffin. Somebody had written on it, so it kind of had scratches on it. But we're just going to kind of make a really cute little shelf sitter Halloween decoration using some of this Halloween leather. Have you guys seen this? They have it in like maybe 4 patterns. It's so cute. I hope that they do this for every holiday because it has a great texture and it's really fun for DIY. So it's the perfect size to cover the coffin sign. So I'm just going to kind of feel for the frame and use my razor blade to cut that right where it needs to be, trying to get it as straight as I can. Check out my new razor blade. Isn't that cute? I just got that on Amazon the other day. It folds up. It's super sharp and I love the blue color. I'll have to add that to my Amazon shop. I've been trying to get some blue tools to replace some of my old rusty garage tools for filming. So I got that cut down to size, a little tight, maybe a little bit more trimming needed, and then we can attach this. Normally, I would just hot glue this down, but hot glue and the faux leather at Dollar Tree just doesn't work for me. I've had some DIYs like literally fall apart afterwards because of that. So I'm going to do Mod Podge instead. I guess you could always use tacky glue too, but I just did a thick layer of Mod Podge all over and set the faux leather on top. And it gave us this great black, orange, and white, like classic Halloween background. But then I thought it'd be really fun too to like put a little skeleton in there. These are the little skeleton garland. And I'm just going to take one of these little guys off the end. He's the perfect size to fit in the coffin. The only thing is when they punch these, they don't punch them great. So you kind of have to weed them out a little bit. So I'm just going to go in and look for all the pieces that need to be popped out and pop them through with my weeder and then pull them on the back to kind of tear them off. The only holes that I wanted to leave on there were the ones for the top of the head. That way I don't really have to cover that where it was hanging on the ribbon. So I left those in there and they kind of cover that area, which is good. Again, I didn't want a hot glue on here, so I did switch it up to the tacky glue this time, just because it's a little heavy duty, the felt, I don't want it going anywhere. And I just kind of put the tacky glue on the back of our cute little skeleton. And then we're just going to attach him to that leather. And I really love this little coffin chalkboard. It's so cute. I don't think I've ever seen this before. It has a great wood frame on there and a black stand. And it makes a really cute, simple little Halloween sign DIY. So I love it. It's giving me a retro vibe. I think it's going to look really cute. And it's small enough that you could probably use it like on a tier tray or something like that. I'm going to use it to fill out a cabinet for Halloween. And this is how he turned out. Isn't he super cute? I guess you could just leave the leather on there too. It'd be cute, but I kind of thought it needed somebody inside the coffin. And so that's why I got the idea to put a little skeleton in there.
Okay, for the next DIY, I'm going to make a large wall hanging with a Dollar Tree skull and crossbones placemat and 3 of the Dollar Tree wood wall shelves. Again, I'm doing large pieces, large Halloween DIYs for a party or for home decor. And so I want everything to be large. The placemat is very large, so I'm going to need 3 of the wood shelves to make the background for it. I want to do a slatted wood board sign with this. If I can, so it's going to be a little bit challenging to do that, but I love how it turned out. As you can see, the wood grain varies greatly on these, but that's okay. I kind of like the variety. I take some ivory acrylic paint and mix it together with some antique wax by Waverly. I want almost like a light driftwood feel for the background on this one, something very subtle. So just going to go over all 3 of my signs. As you can see, they're all like not attached yet because I'm going to do like a slatted sign where they're all going to be like hanging from each other and displaying that skull and crossbones. And we're going to even make this one into a pirate. I thought that would be fun. And it would go for Halloween, also go with my coastal Halloween a little bit too, right? That looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more antique wax by Waverly to make it a little bit darker and just distress it ever so slightly to give that wood grain effect to it. I think those look pretty good, and I think that's going to be a great background. If you wanted a more warm color, you could totally stain it. You could paint the background of yours. I picked up this silver metallic skull and crossbones, but I actually want it to be black. But that's easy enough. All I got to do is flip it over, and the back of the placemat is black, as you can see. And I think it is going to fit perfectly on the 3 wood shelves together like this. Now I'm going to do one slat at a time. So I take some hot glue and I glue the skull down just around the border, just with some hot glue on the first slatted sign. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to need to cut it so that I have 3 pieces of the skull and crossbones to go on all 3 signs. So I'm just trying to carefully cut this. The plastic placemat cuts easily, and I did cut it a little bit long. I was trying not to cut out any of the design, but nothing crazy. I was able to trim that up. But you just have to kind of be careful how you line these up a little bit when you're cutting them. It can be a little bit tricky, right? I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this one down. this has got like lots of different places. So kind of doing like one section here at a time. Part of the bone is going to fit on this one. And then I'm just doing it on the outer sections with the hot glue so that you can't see any of that because of that open pattern. You're going to be able to see the board through. I don't want you to be able to see any hot glue. And then again, I cut off the third portion of the skull and crossbones like that. So that's going to be the middle section with the eyes and part of the nose. And then this one's going to be like the mouth and the bones here for the bottom section. I love putting these wood shelf signs together, either the skinnier ones or the wider ones like this, to do signs that hang. I just think it's so fun. And again, I'm just going around the border and gluing that down. You'll also have to kind of glue it a little bit here and there on the top and bottom to make sure it stays put. I noticed that I cut this one a little shorter than I would like, and you can see some of the wood going through. I'm going to try to disguise that with a little black Sharpie. Just the middle section, I could have cut a little bit better, and I don't want it to be super obvious, so the Sharpie is a great way to hide that. It was a little bit hard to see it, though. It kind of went in with the paint a little bit, so I did touch it up a tiny bit with a black paint pen, too. And now I don't think you can really tell that any of the design is missing. Now it's a matter of putting it together. These are the strings, the white like macrame cord that comes with these shelves. And I'm going to use it to attach. I was trying to determine how to put it together, if I wanted like the knots to be on the front or the back. I decided to do the knots on the front because I think it looks a little bit better that way. They are kind of hard to thread through there. So I do like to put a little hot glue on the end to make sure that it's strong enough to go through. But again, I kind of had to force it through a little bit, probably because I was going through the placemat too. But just knot that on the front, and then I'm going to connect it to the middle section. Now, making it this way did add more time to the project. It did take me longer to make it than if I would have just glued the three signs together. So if you're a little shorter on time, you could do that. Just put a bead of hot glue on the inside lip of each one of those shelves, glue them all together, and then you would only have to string the top part. As you can do, I'm just doing one section at a time. So I attach the middle section to the bottom section, and then I'm going to attach this section to the top section. So I'm just kind of cutting the cord as I go. I'm going to need a couple of those cords that it came with to be able to make it all the way around and to include the hanger for this. Sometimes I noticed that like my skull came up a little bit when I was trying to force that string through there. So that made it a little bit challenging too. I have a little bit of a space between each board. So when it'll hang, it will hang like a slatted sign. And then for this piece, I'm going to just knot it here on top. This is going to be the hanger for our little skeleton pirate. He's not a pirate yet, but he's going to be. And I just make it however long I want my hanger to be, knotting that one on the front. And then I have to go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side, stringing it together. So again, definitely more work if you're going to do like the accordion like slatted sign like this where it kind of dangles, but it actually looks really cool in the end. So I think it is worth the extra effort. This would be a great sign for your entryway or for a party. You could even hang this one outdoors. Since it's made out of that like vinyl placemat material, I think it should be rather weatherproof. As long as your glue holds up. If you are going to use it outdoors, you might want to use a stronger glue like an E6000 or something like that versus hot glue if your area is still hot like mine is. And I just simply string that, my last piece for putting it together. Now, one thing I don't like, though, is having those two holes in the bottom be empty. So I did go ahead and string that and knot it. And I'm just going to have that go to the other side, kind of hidden behind it, so that all of the holes on the shelves are filled with knots, just to make it look more finished. So this is what our little skull is looking like so far. Pretty cool, right? And then I'm going to use some of that Dollar Tree faux black leather to make an eye patch. So I'm simply using the eye as reference to sketch out an eye patch. Super easy shape to do. and to estimate there with the size of the eye. I want it to be larger than the eye, but only slightly. And then just cutting out my eye patch. I thought this would be a fun way to give it a little pirate appeal. You could leave it just the skull and crossbones if you like that, but of course I wanted to add just a few more details to make it more fun. I attached the faux leather with some hot glue and just glue that right on to the placemat. Since it's the back of the placemat instead of the front, instead of it being shiny, it's kind of a matte finish, which goes well with that matte faux leather look and goes well with my decor. I didn't want it to be shiny, and so that helps as well. I also used that scrap piece of black faux leather to do the straps. So I'm going to have this one go up over the eye, just kind of attaching that with hot glue. That's going to be the patch strap to go around the skeleton skull, like that. And I've done a lot of like pirate DIYs for Halloween on my channel. Lots of fun ideas. It definitely goes well for like a coastal vibe for your Halloween if you make your skulls into a pirate. I did the same thing here on the other side with a much smaller strip. And that is it. This piece is really large. It's really cool. Let me show you how it looks hanging up. As you can see, there's like a little gap in between each one of the wood signs to give it that slatted feel. But I think it turned out really cool, and it was a fun way to DIY with one of these placemats from the Dollar Tree. I always like to try to include them in DIYs because I think they can be really fun, and they're usually really easy to find at Dollar Tree.
Okay, the next DIY, I found these great little skeleton seahorses at the Dollar Tree, and I thought these would make a great coastal Halloween DIY. Now, the only thing I don't like about them is they're kind of like pinkish orange for some reason, but otherwise they're really cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is give them a little seahorse skeleton makeover. I'm going to just darken their little eye sockets in with a black Sharpie. And then we are going to brighten them up with some ivory acrylic paint to kind of make them look more like my other like little skeleton animals that I have. So I make sure to use a brush so I can kind of get down in between. I guess they have like rib cages on this. My son was like, that is not scientifically accurate. I'm like, I know, but look how cool they are. They're little seahorses, right? And I think they look way better in this like more ivory bone color than whatever that color was before. Now I wanted to do a base to do a fun little like creepy ocean scene with these guys as well. And so I'm going to do that with just a little Dollar Tree oval sign, and I can attach them to it too, because as you can see, they kind of want to tip over a little bit. I think like these little signs like this make great bases. It's just about the perfect size. So I'm going to hot glue them to the sign. Now, I don't want them to be exactly the same height. So I hot glued one directly. The other one, I just used some like orange wood round stickers that I had from the Dollar Tree just to kind of give me a little boost to make this one sit up a little bit higher, but it's not really going to interfere with my design here. Then I want to make the bottom of it look creepy like the ocean floor. So again, I'm going to use Spanish moss, this time just hot gluing it down to kind of keep it in place and cover up that entire bottom part of the seahorse sign. And then we can add some other like little sea creatures and stuff in it to make it look kind of cool. Right now, you know, the Spanish moss just kind of has a crazy shape, but basically you want to cover it and then you can go in, give it a quick little haircut, trim it up, kind of get it back down to that oval shape that we started with. Now for the decor, I wanted some other little ocean creatures. So I'm going to use some more grow animals, this time the sea turtle and a little crab, and then also a little plastic starfish. I get these on Amazon as well. And I am going to give a little creepy Halloween makeover, especially to the little crab. Again, the sea turtle is already black for some reason, which is cool for Halloween, but usually I have to paint it to use those. But I love crafting with these because these are available pretty much year-round at my Dollar Trees in the toy aisles, and they're great for coastal crafting. So we're going to make this little crab instead of red, black, because I wanted again to go with my black, blue, and kind of wider ivory color scheme I have for my Halloween DIYs. I went ahead and painted the underside as well, just in case you could kind of see underneath of it a little bit. I wanted him all to be black. I'm going to leave the starfish blue because that goes with my color scheme perfectly. And so I just hot glue on our little sea creatures into the Spanish moss to make them look like they're crawling around on the ocean floor. So the sea turtle, the starfish, and our little crab. And then I thought it'd be cute to add some seashells as well. Again, these are the little bottled seashells from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to kind of strategically glue some of those around as well. And I really think it made these little Dollar Tree skeleton, a seahorse, into a fun little ocean scene. Perfect for coastal Halloween decor. And this is how it turned out. If you see these cute little guys at your Dollar Tree, be sure to pick them up. They're so fun to craft with. Now, I decided I wanted to kind of finish up the edges, give it a little bit of a rope border. So I just used some Dollar Tree rope and hot glue that all along the edges of the sign, just to kind of give it a more finished appearance. And an extra coastal touch is always nice. Just going to kind of close that up on the very back of it, and this little DIY is ready to go. And this is how it turned out. I think it's so cute and looks super spooky for coastal Halloween. I display mine here in my cabinet with some blue coral, and I love the little surprise blue starfish little pop of color as well, but I love the little seahorses.
Mine don't always, my Dollar Trees don't always get them in. You really have to keep your eye out for these and for the skeleton mermaids, but they are adorable.
I'm kind of obsessed with these wood bead wreaths right now at Dollar Tree. This one is like the cube wood beads, but I love the fact that they're already stained. And I think this medium wood color is perfect. And then the little wood rounds that have the words on them from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree fit perfectly inside there. I've done another DIY with a fall leaf similar to this recently, and that's how you know. So I picked up another one of those signs and one of the wood beads reefs, and then we're just going to DIY this little sign to hang in the middle. So I'm just going to use it upside down like that. See how it fits in there just perfect. It dangles down inside. And then I have this great vintage Halloween decoration. It's like a gourd carved into a jack-o'-lantern, a really cool, kind of creepy looking jack-o'-lantern. And I just printed that on cardstock as well. And I will share that free printable with you as well so you can recreate. And I love these signs too because they're exactly 8.5 inches, which is the same size as a regular sheet of cardstock. And so I'm just going to lay my sign on there and use a pen to kind of draw out the circle shape so I'll know how to cut that down. So again, a super easy shape to cut out. We're just going to cut around our circle. And if it's a little bit too big, I can always sand it down. I just want to cover up that entire wood round with this image. So it's got our orange, black, and white. I love this vintage design. I think it's so cute. I picked the gourd shape because I thought it looked creepier. So cool. And I think that's going to go great with that stained wood bead wreath. So I do a coat of matte Mod Podge all over our wood round and just lay our image right on top. And one other thing I love about the cardstock is if you don't get it on there right the first time, you can always pick it up and reposition without ripping any paper. And that's what I did there. I don't want any of the wood showing through, so I got it lined up just perfect. Again, the width is exactly the same as a sheet of paper. And then I go over the top of it with another coat of Mod Podge, and then I give it a quick dry. Look how cute that is. Now, I did have a little bit of excess paper, so I'm just going to use a Dollar Tree sanding block and go all around the edges. At first, it kind of just folds the cardstock over the edge, but I don't really want to leave it on there. But if you then sand the side, you can get that excess paper to come off and get a really clean cut. So I'm going to do that all the way around. I'm just going to leave the wood word on the back. That's totally fine. Really nothing to cover up and a little bit too hard to remove to reuse for something else. And I got it pretty good and cleaned up. Now I just have to go ahead and poke a hole back through it. I just use a little Cricut weeder to poke a hole and kind of like peel the cardstock through the hole so it kind of looks good. And then I'm just going to tie it on with some Dollar Tree twine. So I cut a long piece of twine. I feed that through, and then we can use that to hang it inside the wood bead wreath. Now I kind of have a two-step process. So I'm going to put a little glue on here because I have to feed that through one of these hooks. And I feed that through, and then I can tie that so that I can dangle the sign exactly where I want it inside the wood bead wreath. You're going to have to test it to kind of see exactly where you want it to be. So don't tie it tight at first because you might need to change it. And then another knot to make a hanger. Such a quick, easy Halloween DIY. I think it turned out really kind of creepy, but it's also decorative with the wood bead wreath. I think it's really cute together. Definitely vintage, though. Isn't that so cute? Kind of reminds me of Halloween decor when I was a little girl. Probably aging myself there, but that's okay. And this is how it turned out. Really loving those wood bead wreaths now that I can finally find them sometimes in my store. But I notice I usually have to go to another town to find them, to a bigger store. But this is how it turned out. I think it's so fun. What do you guys think? Now, speaking of cute, not creepy, look at these little wreath decoration kits they have at Dollar Tree now. I picked up a ghost, and then I picked up a wood wreath from Dollar Tree. It's the first time I've DIY'd with one of those. I was shocked to open this up to find that the ghost was in two pieces. I really thought it was folded in there and that it was one ghost, and that was my plan. So plan B, now I got to find a sign or something to go across the front of my wreath. And I have this hanging sign from Dollar Tree. I was just trying to decide whether it should say haunted or whether it should say Halloween. And we're just going to have to add that to my project because I don't know why that's in two pieces. Weird. Now, this is this black Halloween like garland they have right now with like the little creepy tree pattern. It's almost large enough to go around this wreath form, but we're going to make it work. Now, it has the branches that come out of the side. They kind of alternating going left and right. And I thought at first I wasn't going to have enough because I only have one package of this to make this work, but I actually was able to cover the wreath pretty well. And I don't care if you can see some of the wood through. I think that's going to be fine. So I just simply hot glue the main plastic glittery line here to it, and that's about as far as it goes. But since it has like the branches coming off of it, that's fine. I can cover up the top. Now, at first I thought about wrapping it around like that, but I found that you wouldn't be able to see it as much if I wrapped it around, and I kind of want to get the most bang for my buck. So I'm just going to hot glue it here and there with my hot glue gun, wherever I can get it to fit, so it keeps that round shape and you don't have like these branches going off wherever they might want to go. And I just kind of work in a pattern like overlapping the row before it to make it all blend together really nice. And it almost kind of has like a haunted forest vibe, but it kind of looks like a little bit like spiders too, right? And I thought that'd be a really simple wreath to attach that little Dollar Tree ghost to. So since it's a two-piece ghost and I have to add a sign to it, I'm going to have to get started on a plan here. So I decided with haunted. I kind of like that since it's a ghost and there's no glitter on this sign. It's not quite as wide as I'd want it to, but I was able to make it work. There's also strings all over this, which I guess people use to tie it to a frilly wreath, but I just went ahead and trimmed all those off because they were just going to get in my way. And now it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to put this together. I decided to hot glue the tail here on the bottom of the sign, which I end up not liking it there, and I do end up changing that in just a minute. Now, the top part, you really kind of don't have a lot of room because you don't want to cover up the ghost face. So this one definitely needs to kind of be on the edge of the sign. And I hot glue that too. And so now the sign is attached to the ghost, kind of one unit. And we can add that to our little haunted forest wreath. Now I put it on there and I said, my ghost looks way too long. I think it would have looked better if I would have had like the top and the bottom of the ghost touching or pretty close to it. So I just went ahead and pulled that back off. And I went up to about here with it. And that made the ghost look a little bit more proportional. Again, I wish it was one piece. I really, really thought that this was one piece, the ghost. I was surprised. And so now it's just a matter of trying to figure out how to make this work. The haunted sign barely fits, but we can make it work. And I just tie some twine in a loop around the wreath here at the top to make a simple hanger before I attach the ghost. And I'm just going to glue the little ghost head here to the very top. And I'm still having trouble with that hot glue gun. I don't know if I'm going to get it replaced a second time or if I'm just going to give up on it. But my other Ryobi glue gun worked way better. I might have to go back to that one. Now, I had it on top and I didn't really like the way that it was laying because I wanted to attach the haunted sign to the wooden wreath form. So I decided to pop it back off and actually have it look like the ghost is coming through the wreath, like that with the tail behind it. That way I could glue the sign to the sides of the wreath and make it a lot more stable. So I have a corner that overlaps right here. So I just hot glue that one down. And then I can do the same thing here on the other bottom corner. Just because I don't have a lot of stability going on there and I really want this sign to hold up. Now, I'm not going to use this on my door or anything like this. I'm just going to use this for an indoor wreath decoration, but I guess you could use it on a door. It is plenty big enough. And I also glued it on the back and then glued the tail to the back of the wreath just to make it a little bit stronger. And I also glued the arms down just to make sure this little guy is not going anywhere. And I had to change my original plan, but I think it turned out so cute. And I actually prefer the ghost coming through the wreath like that. It makes it look very ghost-like and spooky. And this is how it turned out, our little haunted ghost wreath. I think they had more than just ghosts, but I don't remember what else they had at my Dollar Tree. I've been trying to stay out of Dollar Tree because I have way too many things. Do I sound like you? Now, the next DIY turned out really cool, but it was so easy to do. I found this little dish at Dollar Tree the other day, and I thought I can make a really fun little tray to go in my entryway, to hold keys and stuff like that for when you come in the door. I always like to do something kind of seasonal for that. This one was black with like a, shiny silver on the top of the legs. And I just wanted kind of a matte black finish on this. So I'm just using black acrylic and just going over the top of all the legs and the little spider body just to make those parts look black. And we are going to do the black, white, and burlap theme even on this. So I'll show you how I end up doing it. The spider part, once it's painted, looks pretty good. The little plastic bowl, though, looks like plastic. So we're going to dress that up a little bit once we get this part painted and dried. And we're just going to use some Dollar Tree burlap. So I'm just going to use the burlap roll. And we're going to make a little burlap bowl to go right inside. It's going to give it a lot more character, I think. So I just cut out a little square of burlap that's going to be a little bigger. And then we can just glue that right down inside the bowl. It's going to make it look so much more high end. Now to do that, I just used Mod Podge. I went ahead and put a hefty amount in there and just spread that all around with a foam brush. So I could really saturate the burlap because it's going to need it to kind of form this shape of the bowl. But I want it fairly even too. So I got it all coated. Then I just pushed the burlap down inside, pushing it against the bottom and the edges. And then I kind of use like a baby wipe to kind of push that down in there. Then I'm going to coat the top of it with more Mod Podge. You really have to saturate it. And don't worry, it should dry clear. I'm going to make sure that all the different areas are attached so you can kind of see it taking that shape of the bowl. Once I dried it with my heat gun, it looks way better. And now we can trim off all of the excess burlap. You don't have to worry about trimming this off perfect because I am going to line this with a little white detail so we can stay with our color scheme today. Now, I did notice that some of the metallic silver was still shining through on my legs, so I thought it's going to definitely require another coat of black acrylic anywhere where that was kind of shining through. So I just kind of went through and touched it up, and that definitely did the trick because I want the matte black finish. I don't want any of that metallic silver that was on there before coming through. Now for the white part of our DIY, I'm going to use just some of the macrame cord from Dollar Tree, and we are just going to kind of frame out the bowl with that. Kind of looks a little bit like a spider web too, so it kind of goes with the theme, but it's going to make this look a little bit more finished, and it adds a little bit of the black and white to this as well. And easy peasy, this DIY is complete. It was so easy to do, and it really turned out so cute. So here is our little spider bowl. Great for an entryway. I'm going to use mine on my entryway table to like hold car keys and stuff like that. So here is kind of an example of how you could use yours. And I really love the burlap in there. It really made it look so much better than just the plastic bowl. And I really like the matte finish as well. I think that makes it look way nicer.
And it's functional, so that's fun.
Now, the next item, I wanted to make my own little custom Halloween tray. So I'm going to start with one of these little bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree, but I want it to be creepy and black. So I'm just going to start with a makeup sponge and some black acrylic, and we're just going to paint this black. I'm also going to paint the edges of the tray. I love these. This is just the right size for a small tray, and it's super flat, no warping, anything like that. And we can kind of customize our own thing. I wanted to do a really cute little miniature scene. So it's going to be just a little custom Halloween tray, not necessarily a tier tray. I almost called it a tier tray. But I went ahead and painted the top, the bottom, and the sides. Then for the little feet of the tray, I thought these little skeleton skulls from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. And so I'm going to just take 4 of them. I'm going to leave them as is. I'm not going to paint them or anything like that. And I thought they'd make 4 perfect little feet for a table. So to attach them, I'm going to leave them like that so I know exactly how to line it up. Put a dot of hot glue on top of each skull, and then carefully center and lay my tray on top of it, trying to keep it level so that those glue on there properly. I didn't think I'd be fast enough or be able to get it even enough to do all 4 at once, but you kind of have to, you can't really do it upside down because you kind of need to know exactly where to put your glue. And so I went ahead and glued on the 2 front too. I have them all pointing the same direction, but I guess you could point the ones in the back the other direction if you wanted, more of a 2-sided tray. But this is how it turned out. Just a very cute, easy little legs for it. And I'm glad I did something Halloween for that. See how cute that is? And then I also have an idea to kind of make the back of the tray taller with one of these Dollar Tree signs. This is so retro Halloween with that black cat and the jack-o'-lanterns. It says Trick or Treat Trail, Witch's Way, and Graveyard. And I'm just going to simply glue that Dollar Tree sign to the back of our little tray right here, so it doesn't fall off and it actually becomes like kind of part of the little custom Halloween tray. And you could always put this where you put a tier tray because you're going to get plenty of height for this DIY. And then it's so easy to decorate. This is some of that brown moss from the Dollar Tree. I thought it looked creepy for Halloween. It is a little messy, but I'm just going to do like a little thin coat all over to give me a creepy like autumn ground because I want to add some fun little miniatures to this. Now, finding miniatures for Halloween from Dollar Tree is hard. I found this little cat from the toy aisle, and it's a little Mickey Mouse cat, but I thought we could DIY it and make it into a cute little black cat. Very easy because he's mostly black already. I just had to paint like his little paws black, his chest black. There was a little writing on the back of his head, and then of course his face. At first I thought maybe I could try painting around the eyes, but I didn't think I was going to be able to get that quite like I wanted it. And they were kind of colorful anyway. And I didn't really want super colorful for this. So I went ahead and just painted the whole thing black. And I wish they had like more like fairy garden items for Halloween at Dollar Tree. Have you guys found any at your store? I've never really found any at mine. And then I'm going to do the eyes with like a little white paint marker. And I'm just going to do 2 little circles there. You can kind of see exactly where the eyes are. And then follow that up with a black Sharpie. So I kind of have control to kind of paint the eyes back on there and touch up any of the paint. And this is how he turned out. The super cute little black cat. But I was able to find fairy garden items at the dollar spot at Target, and they're only $1 for 3. So I got 3 little jack-o'-lanterns. They're all different, and the colors are perfect for like a vintage Halloween feel. And then I also found some great tombstones there. So I really love that Target Dollar Spot is carrying fairy items nowadays. They're so cute. I've been getting some really great ones there since Easter. So a little tombstone that says RIP. This one says for rent. That's kind of funny. And one more here. And I think this is going to be enough items to decorate our tray. That one says look out. And I'm not going to glue them down or anything because I want to be able to reuse this tray if I need to. And I'm just going to start kind of arranging them around, kind of make it look like a cemetery with the little tombstones peeking out. Kind of creepy, right? And, you know, I was going to decorate like a tier tray with these items, but I think that they're a little bit too miniature for a tier tray. You wouldn't be able to see them, which is one reason why I decided to do my own custom small Halloween tray. And then here's our little black cat that we DIY'd. And then we're also going to decorate with our little jack-o'-lanterns. So cute. I can use the taller one here in the back, opposite of our little taller cat. And then I have one left over, but I kind of wanted to use it. So I'm just going to kind of pop that there in the corner to make it a little bit more not symmetrical there. And I love how this turned out. It was so easy to do. And it's so cute for like a vintage Halloween vibe. So let me show you how it turned out. Here's that little cute little black spooky tree sign from Dollar Tree. I didn't have to do anything to it. With a little retro cat and jack-o'-lanterns. And then all of our little miniatures that we added to it with our little skeleton feet for the tray.
I found this great sign at the Dollar Tree. I thought it was perfect for a vintage Halloween theme.
It's got the white ghost, the orange jack-o'-lantern, a little directional arrow sign. So I thought we could use one of these little just galvanized metal buckets from the Dollar Tree, and we can make it into a directional arrow sign. So the bucket's kind of plain, but I found these rub-on transfers at the Dollar Tree that are perfect for vintage Halloween. They've got like the black and orange cat, the owl. And so I'm just going to cut out some of the larger things here and just decorate the front of this. And we're going to create a pot to make that directional arrow sign into an actual directional arrow sign. So I just picked out some of my favorites here. I think my favorite is the little black cat. So I'm going to put it like front and center. And these little rub-on transfers on the galvanized metal, so easy. Some of them, I feel like I didn't even have to rub them. But again, be careful when you're pulling the little cover sheet off. If you didn't get it all done, you're going to want to put it right back down and then you can finish it off. On this, I could kind of tell by the color changing whether it had transferred or not. So I got like 4 big ones on there. I do have some extra space here, so I'm going to go ahead and just fill out with a spider over here. And I just kind of want it all over like kind of random retro Halloween pattern on this. And I'm going to put this outside, but it's going to be kind of covered on my porch. So I think it'll hold up. I have just a little bit of room left, so I'm actually just going to use the word Halloween and cut that out of a saying that was already on there. And I think that looks pretty good. I love the colors, and I think that's going to make a great base for that sign. The sign itself is pretty perfect. I don't have to do a lot to it. Just have to figure out a way to make it into a directional arrow sign. So the only thing that I want to change is it had a hanger at the top, kind of an off-center hanger, but I'm going to go ahead and just take some twine, just tie down a little bow, and I'm just going to glue that to the top of the ghost just to kind of hide that right there. so there won't be a hole in the top of our sign. And then for the pole, I'm just going to use a Dollar Tree ruler. I love crafting with these. All you got to do is pop the little stickers off and you have some raw wood. Now, I got a little carried away. I was trying to set this up and I forgot to paint it. I did want to paint it, and so I glued it down first, and then I remembered how to paint it. So I just glued it kind of to the center of the sign, kind of the center of the arrow, because the sign's kind of all over the place, but I think it's super cute. I thought about toning down the glitter a little bit, but I thought it's Halloween. I can live with the glitter, I guess. That's when I realized that I forgot to paint it. So you probably want to paint yours first, but I'm just going to paint my ruler black to kind of go with the vibe. And again, we're going to be using like a lot of black and orange and white and a little bit of wood today. I just was really going after that vintage Halloween vibe, and I'm really happy with how these DIYs turned out, and they were super easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and pop that in the little metal bucket, and then I'm going to use some of these little black stones from the Dollar Tree. I actually had some open, and so I'm going to go ahead and just fill the whole thing up, burying the ruler or the stick in between. It's going to weigh it down, make it hold up outside better, and it's going to hold the stick and the sign in place. So this is how it turned out. Our little ghost and jack-o'-lantern sign that says "This way if you dare." I think this would be really cute in an entryway. I'm going to put mine, I think, outside my front door. I think it'll be a fun, cute little Halloween DIY to greet the trick-or-treaters.
Even though we hardly get any in our neighborhood, I'm always disappointed. I always want more.
Okay, next DIY was really simple. I found this little ghost sign at the Target dollar spot. This was last year for $5, so I don't know if they're going to have this year. My dollar spot really doesn't have much Halloween yet this year. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I'm just going to make it a standing sign using some of those little Jenga blocks from Five Below and a little boo sign from Dollar Tree. So hopefully this will give you some idea. Just if you had any kind of an arch sign like that, it'd be so easy to make this. All you would have to do is paint it white, distress it, add little black eyes and a mouth for a ghost face. It really couldn't be any easier. I do want to add a little bit of color to it, so I'm just going to use some Caribbean blue and white mixed together. Give me a beachy blue, and I'm just going to use a makeup sponge to paint the word boo. And like I said, this DIY was really easy because I found the ghost sign kind of already made, but I still wanted to include this if it gave you a little bit of crafting inspiration, because I think he'd be pretty easy to reproduce if you could get the right shaped sign. So I'm just going to glue the big boo word right down here in the bottom with a little bit of hot glue on the back. And then we're also just going to make it a standing sign because I wanted to display it in my cabinet on my shelves for Halloween. So I'm going to do that just by attaching some of those little Five Below blocks to the back. I love these little Jenga blocks. I buy these every year at Five Below. And I think they're like $12 a box now. You get a huge, giant box of them, and they work great for crafting. And I displayed mine next to my little black rope cat, and I think they look really cute together. So simple, but adorable.
And the reason I did blue on this one is because I like to do a little bit of coastal Halloween. So I displayed this with some of my coastal Halloween DIYs that I've done so far here on my channel.
Now, the next DIY, I want to take some of these black taper candles that I got at Dollar Tree and give them a little makeover. I saw some really cute black and white ghost candles that I wanted to kind of try to copy on these. I was reading that you could paint candles if you use like the Posca paint pens, and that you can even burn them like that. That's what the internet says, so I guess we will see. I do have a set of Posca paint pens. Sometimes I get them on Amazon, but the other day I actually got a whole box of them at Target. They were a little pricey to get the whole box, but if you go on Amazon, you can definitely just buy whatever color you want. And you know what? They did a great job painting on the wax. I was really impressed. So I just do a simple little sketch of a ghost, and I'm going to color it all in white. And I just did little squiggly lines along the bottom, and I thought we would kind of alternate those all the way up. going different directions and stuff like that. Now, I started with the eyes. I was just going to leave the eyes black like that, but it is a little time consuming to try to work around the eyes. So I ended up losing the eyes after a while because I can always go in with my black Posca paint pen and paint those on as well. Now for the second row, I kind of alternated over here. I'm only going to do like 2 rows because you're really only going to be able to see these ghosts from the front. But I want them to go all the way up our little black candle. Now I got one done, so I'm going to kind of use that as a reference, kind of copy the same rows. It can still be kind of crazy whichever direction you want your little ghost to be, but you know what? Painting a ghost shape is so easy. Once I get those all painted white and dried, then I went in with my black paint pen and just drew simple little eyes on each one, and that was definitely easier than trying to leave the little spots black. And then I found, some of those black metal candle holders from Dollar Tree that I think are going to be perfect for these. I picked up 2 different sizes, so they'll be 2 different heights, so I can kind of display them together as a little set. And I'm so glad I decided to paint these candles because I think they turned out so cute. Look at them. How sweet is that? Now for the candle holders, I still wanted to keep the black, white, and burlap theme I've got going on. So I thought I would just cover the little poles of these little candlesticks with burlap. I thought the easiest way to do that would be to use some of these little burlap bags from Dollar Tree. I craft with these things all the time. I absolutely love them. And I just cut out the front so I would have a sheet to work with. I'm just going to cut out a strip. It's not going to take much to cover these because they're nice and skinny. And then just cut that down to size, trying to get a rectangular shape so my lines are kind of straight. To attach, I just do a bead of hot glue up my candlestick and lay the burlap right on there. And this was definitely a good trick to make these look more high end. It kind of gives you the same feel as wrapping them with twine, but look how much easier that is. I just glue it to itself after I've wrapped it all the way around to take the shape of the candlestick. And I'm just going to leave the top and the bottom of it black metal. That's perfect for Halloween. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the second one, just cutting out a little rectangular piece that I can cut down to size. The tops of these candle holders are different. I don't know why they do that, but it's fine. I think it's going to make it look just even a little bit better because it adds a little bit of variety. So I just hot glued this one on as well, wrapping that around and hot gluing it to itself. This DIY was so easy to put together, and I think these candles just turned out so cute. Now, I wanted to try to encourage them to stay in place, and especially the large one, that was kind of large. So I'm going to use some hot glue to get that started, and I'll have to let you know how that Posca paint pen burns on the candle, because supposedly it's supposed to be just fine. So I hot glued both in there, and this DIY is complete. Let me try to show you how those candles turned out. So cute and such a fun, easy DIY for Halloween. So we have our little black and white ghost candles and our Dollar Tree black and burlap candlesticks. I love all the different kind of candlesticks they have at Dollar Tree now. They really actually have quite a nice variety, and this is how they look together. Okay, this DIY is going to be super easy. I'm going to use these little jack-o'-lantern fabric gift bags from Dollar Tree to make a really fun, classic Halloween pennant banner. So you get 4 in a package, and I really wanted 5. So I picked up 2 packages. Whenever I do a pennant banner, I always like it to be an odd number. I always think it looks better that way. And they're little bags with open tops like this. So I'm just going to pop the tags out on the inside, but I'm going to leave them all sewed like that. I can always just use the top and put that over the twine to make a little pennant. And then I can trim the bottom to make them actually look like pennants. So I went through and I picked out a total of 5. Now, at this point, I hadn't realized that they have different faces. See how some of them have big faces and some of them have smaller faces? I don't know why I didn't notice that, but it does affect me here in a minute because I kind of want it to be more symmetrical. But I went ahead and picked up 5 and trying to get the ones with like the straightest faces. And then I am just going to fold it in half and I'm just going to dovetail it. And that gives you that pennant banner. I don't want a triangle. If I did a triangle, I think that it would cut off part of the face. And so then I'm just going to use my leftover piece for reference so I can kind of get these somewhat even. And I'm just going to use that as a guide to cut the next one. And I'm going to do that on all 5 of them. Now, once I got them all cut out, I was looking at them and I was like, wait a minute. Some of their faces have like 6 teeth and skinny eyes, and some of their faces have 2 teeth and wide eyes. And I had like 4 of one style and 1 of the other. So I thought that didn't really make any sense. So I decided I wanted 3 of one face and 2 of the other. That way I could alternate every other one for a face. But that's okay because I had that other package of those. So I can always switch that up and make it work. It's not like a huge difference. I can kind of see why I kind of missed that at first. But we figured it out in the end. And this is going to be a really simple banner. You can hang this anywhere. I like to hang these from the top of cabinets. I'm going to show you how it looks like the top of my coat tree in my entryway. Looks great on coffee bars. Super cute, classic little Halloween banner. And a great use for these little bags. So I take my piece of twine and I just flip over my bag. And the only exposed open part is here at the top. I'm just going to hot glue that and push that over into a little seam, a little no-sew banner, and the twine freely moves in there so I can always rearrange exactly where and how these hang and the distance in between the 2 of them. So I'm just going to continue that same thing by just laying it underneath there, hot gluing it, and wrap it around. Again, I don't really have to worry about spacing. Some of these I think I used more hot glue than the other and it kind of soaked through, but some of them I kind of had to glue both layers down like that to get it to work. And then I'm just alternating a different face each time so it kind of creates a little pattern with the different faces, just double checking myself, making sure I did it right because I almost didn't do that. And last one, same thing, glue it on there. Such an easy, fun Halloween DIY, and it definitely gives you a festive touch. This is how it turned out. Let me show you how this looks hanging. I went ahead and hung it up so you can kind of see what it looks like. Totally looks like a super cute pennant banner. Just absolutely so easy to make. And I think it turned out really cute for Halloween. What do you guys think about this one?
And if you had a mantle or something like that, you can make yours a little bit longer if you needed to, but it's just so easy to do with those little bags. Okay, for the next DIY, I picked up a little plastic skull from the Dollar Tree and a few other items. I thought we could make this look like a creepy pirate skeleton. So I wanted to have like an eye patch, and I was trying to think of something black leather I could use. You could do the rolled leather from Dollar Tree. I also like crafting with these bags. These are the purses from the Dollar Tree. You can get them in different colors. This is the black one, and it kind of looks like a felt material on one side and like a leather material on the other side. I just cut down a little eye patch. And then I also cut the strap off of the purse that we can use to attach it. It is a little bit thick, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that down to size to make a little strap for our eye patch. And then I'm just going to glue it right here into the eye socket. I'm not going to paint the skeleton or the skull this time because I have lots of other things we're going to be adding to him, but you know what? You totally could if you wanted to. I just went all the way around his little skull, gluing that in place, and then I can go over it with the little eye patch. So a little hot glue here, and we can attach it. And it looks leather. It looks cool. I love crafting with those bags. But again, you could always use like the faux leather on a roll or even felt for the eye patch as well. But this is what he looks like so far. I want to make just like a little display of him, something that I can display on a Dollar Tree candlestick to kind of boost him up on a pedestal. I thought it'd be creepy for him to have some gold teeth since he's a pirate. So I'm using some metallic gold acrylic, and I'm just going to paint a few of his teeth gold to kind of give him that wealthy pirate feel. And a little bit of bling there in his mouth. I think that looks good. We're also going to be doing like gold coins and stuff like that I picked up at the party section at Dollar Tree. So that'll coordinate nicely with his gold teeth that he has. I think that's a fun little addition to him, especially since I didn't paint him. Now this is the candlestick that I'm going to use to raise him up. It's already black. And so I think that's going to make a great pedestal. They have a smaller skull that's already on a pedestal. You could always DIY that too, but it's going to give you, a way smaller skull. I just attach it with hot glue down to the candlestick like that so he'll stay in place. He's already looking a little bit like a pirate and pretty cool, but I think we can take it up a notch. Now, I thought it'd be cool since he is a pirate skull, right? He's going to be something at the bottom of the ocean. So I picked up some of the little grow sea creatures from the toy aisle at Dollar Tree. And then for the loot, I picked up the party favors, the little gold coins like this. And I thought we could kind of scatter those around underneath the skull and decorate the base of it with it. So I decided to just kind of attach them with hot glue so they would stay in place. And I'm going to do some coins over here, kind of making it look like there's a pile of them by gluing multiple ones together. Big stack of coins. And then there's a crab and a sea turtle. And then I'm also going to use a starfish. The starfish I actually got on Amazon. It's a nice little size of a molded starfish, kind of like the ones they have at the Dollar Tree, but a lot smaller. I just distress everything with some antique wax by Waverly to make them look old and creepy. I didn't necessarily want to paint them black because I have a lot of black going on already on the candlestick that we're using to display our little pirate. So I was trying to determine where to kind of put everything. I like where I have the coins, but I think I'll go ahead and decorate his headscarf first, and then I'll figure out where to put all the sea creatures. I picked up this bandana at Dollar Tree. I love the minty green color. I thought that looked really fun for coastal. I just folded it in half like that into a triangle and gathering it around his skull and gonna tie it off here in the back. To make sure it stays in place, I attach it with hot glue right here in front. Take the corners, tie that off here at the base of the skull. And then just kind of double knot that to keep that in place. And just securing it with a little bit of hot glue. And I think that is a fun way to make him look like a pirate. He's got the patch, he's got the headscarf. I did have a little bit of excess fabric here, so I'm just going to kind of fold it under so it doesn't kind of overwhelm the pedestal down there that we made for him. That looks pretty cool. Now it's time to decorate with the sea creatures. I have the sea turtle, I have the starfish, and I have the little crab there that I available to use. And so I decided to do like a little starfish down here. I really like decorating the base of it a little bit. And then I'm going to do a sea turtle over here, like kind of crawling on the gold coin so you can kind of see him a little bit better. And then maybe the crab like right over here. Now, I thought since he's going to have treasure, I could also do pearls, right? These are those pearls from the Dollar Tree. They're kind of big. I just attach them with hot glue, and I'm going to kind of scatter those around. Add another coin up here to kind of decorate the base. So he looks like he has lots of treasure, lots of sea creatures. And I can even glue some of the pearls to the coins to make it look like some pirate treasure. I just keep adding bling and to it until I'm happy with it. And I think that looks pretty good so far. Now, I do want him to look even creepier, and so I do have a plan to kind of decorate him just a little bit more with some of the creepy cloth from the Dollar Tree. I love this stuff. This is the one it's called gray, but it's more of like a black color. And it's like a cheesecloth material, so I thought it'd be really fun to kind of make him look like he is caught up in a fishing net kind of feel. And so I just draped that over everything. Since it's got like a wide weave on it, you can still see through it and stuff like that. So I think it's just going to make him look even creepier. I just kind of tie it here in the back. We're not going to be able to see it, and cut off the excess netting back there. And attach it with a little bit of hot glue to keep everything together. And I'm glad I gave him that final last touch. I think he looks so cool. Definitely looks like a little pirate with all of his pirate bounty in there. He's even got the eye patch, the gold teeth. Really fun DIY to make. This would be something fun to kind of get the kids involved with too, if you have any little ones around that want to decorate for Halloween. He definitely goes with the coastal Halloween theme, but you could also, kind of just make him regular Halloween, maybe by changing up the colors and maybe not adding like the netting or the sea creatures and just doing like the loot. But I think he's pretty cool. Definitely goes with my coastal Halloween vibe.
Okay, the next DIY, I needed a black frame. I decided to do mine with one of these little square Dollar Tree frames, but you could always do this with like an 8x10. It would work well too. And I just wanted something black. This was perfect because it doesn't have glass or anything. So we're just going to pop out the back of this sign, and we're going to do a really cute like black and white spider web sign for this. I'm not going to need any of the little staples here on the side, so I'm just going to use a pair of pliers to go around and remove all of those first to give us just a plain square frame. Now for the spider web, I'm going to use some of the white cotton twine from the hardware section at Dollar Tree, but you know what? They have macrame cord at Dollar Tree now that would work perfectly for this too. This might be a little bit thinner though, so you might want to go with the cotton twine. And I just tie a knot in one end, stringing it to the other. I use a staple to attach it to the frame, and I'm going to just make mine go from one corner to the other. This is the back of the frame, so you won't be able to see this part, and you definitely have to tie them to make the, staple keep it in place. I want to keep repeating that pattern, so I kind of crisscrossed abnormally. I didn't go completely one corner to the other. And now I crisscrossed, right across the frame. And then I can start spinning my web. I do that by tying it to one of the ropes and then pulling it, tying it to the next rope until we can go around and do like this center part here to a spider web. All the way till we get to the other side, and then we're going to go around and do the same thing, just tying the twine each time you come to the rope. So I have a total of like 4 that go all the way across, and then I do 2 rings in the middle. You are going to want it to make it look a little bit off center like I did, to make it look like a real web. And then all it needs is a spider. I got these little fuzzy spiders at Walmart, but you could always use the ones from the Dollar Tree too. And I just hot glue that to our little web. And this was so easy to make. It's a really cute Halloween decoration that would fit in pretty much with any decor. This is how it looks hanging on my wall for Halloween. And I love that little black fuzzy spider. So cute.
And it's really a versatile project. You could do it on about any kind of shape or size of frame, and so easy to do with a little bit of that like cotton twine material.
Now, speaking of easy, this is so easy. I picked up a black candlestick from Dollar Tree and one of these like little plastic black glow balls. It does kind of have a plastic lid, which looks a little cheap. So I thought we could use some of this like orange jack-o'-lantern ribbon from Dollar Tree. Looks very classic. And just hot glue that on to that little plastic lid. That way you don't really see all that texture on there, and you can't really tell that it's so plastic. I was trying to decide what to fill this up with. I didn't really have anything that was quite the right size. I wanted something creepy to put inside of it. So I decided to fill mine with eyeballs. So see how it can just fit on there, and then you can just sit it on there. You don't have to run your candlestick or anything. You can always reuse it. These are the eyeballs I picked out from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna see how many eyeballs I can fit inside. I thought that would give it kind of a creepy look because it's kind of tinted. So if you kind of lean down to kind of look into it, you'll be able to see all these eyeballs staring out at you. It kind of gives you that kind of creepy apothecary feel too. And they are a little hard to kind of move them around once you get them in there. And so just kind of arrange them how you will until they're kind of like going like the right direction for you. I had to mess with mine a little bit until I was happy with it, but the DIY was so easy that that was the least of our worries. So little creepy eyeballs peeking out every direction, and you just sit it on the candlestick. Super easy, like 2-minute DIY, maybe less. And I think it turned out really cute. So this is how it turned out. You know, you could put anything in there. If you had like a little creepy toy frog or something like that, you could paint it black or something like that. That'd be really cute in there as well. Anything Halloween, I think. But I love those candlesticks from the Dollar Tree. I love making things out of those. And I love how this turned out. I think it's so fun.
I really hope you enjoyed these 25 Halloween Dollar Tree DIYs. I had such a great time putting this video together for you. Let me know which DIY was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. You can find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social media, and this QR code is a link to my Buy Me a Coffee if you'd like to leave me a tip. Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's crafting marathon. I also want to give a huge thank you to my YouTube members who help support this channel. Thank you to Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, I Am Mojo Jojo, Marin Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Donna Tanner, Kim Rogers, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Mindy Hepp, Jenny, and Debbie Austin. I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you would also like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button on your computer or your phone next to today's video. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, a badge next to your name when you comment down below, and a shout out in every video, and you're free to cancel at any time. We would love to see what you've been crafting. Be sure to share your DIYs with us in the private Facebook group linked in the description of today's video. Now, would you like even more Halloween crafting inspiration? I've got you covered. Be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting for Halloween.